Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated public sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call it truth. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, January 27th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. A huge Friday awaiting our breakdowns. We have Bobano for NHL and NCAA basketball. And we have Dutch Boy Fresh making his triumphant return for NBA. So we got a big show and a big opportunity to get the weekend started with winners. When we have a huge weekend ahead of us, big shows coming up here on Pub today. We have the good, the bad, and the money with Sharpie and Brizzy and Big Show. That pops off at 3:30, I believe, 3:30 Eastern. 4 p.m. we have NBA Pub Hub, of which Bobano will be hosting. Dutch Boy Fresh's action will come out on this show. And then also we have the 5 p.m. NCAA Net Profits. That will be Dabby Cab and Connor Mack. So for Bobano's looks in college basketball, you'll get those right here. And then tomorrow, NCAA Pub Hub. But Sunday is the big day here for me. We have NFL Pub Hub at 12 p.m. Eastern. And then we have 2 live streams that I will be hosting. We have a whole bunch of different guests. I have it all set up. And I'm really excited about these games. 91% of the cash right now on the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a lot of money on the Eagles, man. I've heard from our razor sharp picks he's moving on the Niners. So that's giving me a little bit of confidence for my futures. Yesterday was not as good as I want. I shouldn't have added that Devils Nashville Predators under 6. Would have been a nice winning day in NHL had I not done that. But down 0.1 units. Lightning Tampa Bay Boston under 6 was just, well broken down, well capped. In NBA, catch that Bulls first quarter -1.5, but the Spurs, well, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking with the fucking Spurs under 234.5. Disappointing. In college basketball, Southern Utah, full game was the play. I moved on them first half. It's my first losing day in college basketball in a long time. 1-2. Arizona, Washington State under 145 was a gift. And Oregon State was a mistake. So I'm hungry for winners, and I'm excited about the opportunity to break down the card with you guys here in the chat and with Bobano and Dutch Boy Fresh. Shout out to all the cappers joining us. What a great group. The Nuke Worker in the house. Sammy Culmer says, happy Friday. Hope Carter's feeling better. We don't know. Nobody knows what the hell it is with Carter right now. So he's really swollen. He's got boils, and so he's off at a new pediatrician. Every doctor's telling us something different. We're on day 4 of this shit. So he's with a different pediatrician today. Then we went to the fucking North York Regional first and had them look at it. Then we went down to St. Joe's down on the Queensway to have the pediatricians there look at it. No one knows what the fuck's going on. So thank you for thinking of him. He's such a sweet kid, man. He's just still smiling and still, positive. But it's very difficult to see your child in pain. It's a tough situation here. Rob Garvey, and thank you for thinking of him, Sammy. Rob Garvey says, did you ever move on the Philly KC moneyline parlay? I have terrible news, Rob. I don't know. This happens to me quite often. Maybe I don't know if it happens to you guys, but when I miss a line, there was the Chiefs were at plus 120, and that parlay I was getting at 256. Because I've got the futures on the Bengals and the Niners, for those that don't know what I'm getting at. I just been stuck just watching it go all the way down. So the Chiefs have gone from plus 120 to minus 120. That parlay's gone from 256 to 209. And I'm just sitting there like an ass clown deciding how much I'm going to bet on it. I'm certainly going to have a bet on it, Rob. I'm just not sure how much. And I just got to figure out the right amount to hedge with. But I'll be hosting both those live bet streams, and I can't wait to attack. Also, a special treat for our live bet streams. One of the funniest gamblers that I know, chain smoking, alcoholic, degenerate, and French. And the Canadian French are a very fun group. They make you feel better about yourself in pretty much every way. He will be boozing heavily, chain smoking, and sitting beside me for the 2 live streams. He's easily one of the biggest comics in Canada and North America, and huge in the French Canadian world. Derek Seguin. Well, he'll stink right beside me. I'll smell, oh God, just yesterday's liquor and just smokes, and he'll be sitting beside me. And this guy bets, man. This guy doesn't fuck around. So he'll be sitting beside me for that. It's going to add some laughter and some fun. Mike M says, how about that Blackhawks game? Sweat free. Beautiful work, Mike M. Viper NB, Adrian Bird. For the cappers like Mike and some of the guys that tagged me with their plays of the day, I've been just so busy with trying to figure out what's going on with Carter and capping. So I'm way behind on messages and stuff like that, and I apologize to all you guys for that. Lee Davis, Ryan Mueller, Jay Peasy, Dan Kelly, Serious Business said, looking at this New Jersey Dallas under 6, so am I, but God, Dallas is one of the teams that I've had some troubles with this year. Alex Hill's ready to go, ready to get to work. We have a huge card for us to attack here. Mike M. Richard, nice to see you, my friend J Dub. Slatsy says, dogs were barking in NHL, and I was on none of them. And he laughs, says, Carter Verhaeghe plus 2.5 shots just to get Jimmy's Carter up and going. Jackets total up to 7. 7. Really? God, I miss Thatcher Demko badly. And Lucas Ryan says, me and Mike, we're all over the Clippers Spurs over. Well, beautiful work, Lucas, my friend. Jalen put a $40 in a 250 parlay. Hornets money line, Knicks plus 8.5, Detroit plus 9.5. Watching the Knicks and the Pistons win outright, and me just staying on the fence there, it was very frustrating. There is Coin in the house. Rocco Rogers, Guillermo Uzertucci, Jordy Nordman, Wine Time Sports. What a great group. Nick Peppard, North Ender, D. Jenkins, Slatsy, Swiss Horton. Oh, he sold his location in Etobicoke. All right. TC Capper. All right. Great to see all you guys. And we have a huge card. So let's get to work. These Fridays are tricky with NHL. We always have small cards to work with, and it sucks because we have Bobano to work with. And now we have a nice, big, juicy card for us to attack here. I'm excited. There's Kadesh, my man, KD in the house, RVD 420. Let's get to, oh, yeah, look at there. Slatsy says, oh, mon Dieu, Derek Seguin. Yeah, he's a handful and hilarious. Slatsy, anytime you want to check out Seguin in Montreal, I can hook that up. For you. But he'll be stinking right beside me, betting enormous amounts of money. He makes a ton of money. He makes like $200K a year in stand-up. So he just gambles heavy. A bit of an addiction, you could call it. Let's get to work right now. Let's bring in your guest, the star of our Friday shows here on Betting with the Bag. I look forward to working with him. Please welcome Bobano to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
Good. Actually, a little under the weather, but nothing major. Nothing that's going to keep me away. So nice. It is nice to have some NHL games that are in a lengthy card for a change on a Friday. So yeah, let's hopefully find some winners.
Are we going to get to hear you freestyle and drunk in San Antonio? Is that in the cards?
Yeah. Well, we're hopeful that's going to be the case. We just got to clear out some things, and I'm hopeful to be there. I can't guarantee yet, but we're hoping.
Mr. Gokster and I have booked our flights for Pubapalooza Dos. Ready to fucking rock, Mr. Gokster and myself. Gokster is going to try to win that par 3 golf tournament while I win the poker tournament. Then we're all going to be making money on March Madness, and then we're going to head to UFC San Antonio. and we're going to lose our shit there. We're going to lose our shit. I'm going to scream. I have a very high-pitched scream anytime somebody gets hit, so I'll be screaming nonstop till I lose my voice. Then we have Date the Races at Retama Park on Sunday, and then closing ceremonies, a.k.a. Bobano's concert, is on the Sunday night. So that is our schedule. Hope we need you guys there. Nasty Nate says, you will not win, Jim. Nate, I can't wait to hang with you, man. I miss you guys so much. I'm very, very excited. Renmo says Ian has COVID for record-breaking 13th time. Look, he at least he had that false negative to get home to Canada that day.
That's right. Yeah.
He was not going home. Okay, let's get to work here. NHL, 7 p.m. Eastern. San Jose Sharks 14, 25 and 10, 9, 13 and 3 on the road. The Carolina Hurricanes 39 and 8, 14, 5 and 2 at home. Our Dennis Garcia told us that he thinks these are the best. This is the best hockey team in the NHL, which did surprise me a little bit. That he felt that they could be better than the Bruins and poor Toronto Maple Leafs in the Atlantic Division. Ooh, man. That's a tough division to get out of, man. James Reimer, anti-Ranta right here. Reimer, 8, 14 and 5, 3.25 goals against average, 896 save percentage, 1 shutout. Ranta, 11, 2 and 3, 2.52 goals against average, 898 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Does Carolina have the goaltending to play for to win the East? I'm afraid I don't think that is the case. Sharks are 2, 5 and 3, 12.5% power play, 82.1% penalty killing over that stretch. Carolina 5, 3 and 2, 13.9% power play, 77.1% penalty killing during the stretch. Are their special teams good enough? Is their offense good enough? I mean, I have a lot of questions about the Hurricanes, but I don't have any questions about Rod, the Bod, Brindamore. I believe in him. Hurricanes coming off their third straight win, 3-2 in overtime at Dallas on Wednesday. Jacob Slavin remains day-to-day. Sharks coming off their third straight loss, 3-2 in overtime at Detroit. I'm going to pull up my I got my line history right here. I was working on NFL, of course. More NFL this morning as well. But let's go over to NHL and the line movement here. We'll take a look at what Pinnacle has done with this spot. San Jose, Carolina, getting our cards started. San Jose opening up at plus 244. They're now at plus 240. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 6. It's now up to 6.5. That surprises me that it would be at 6.5. That really surprises me. I wonder. I would bet that under immediately. If that was available. Let's see what Bobano has to say. I thought about San Jose first period. Carolina coming off that overtime win in Dallas. They come back. San Jose's been sitting there champing at the bit, and could they be live in the first period? I was thinking I would get something higher than plus 160, which was being offered to me. Take it away here, Bobano. Sharks gains.
Yeah, this has actually been a series where Carolina obviously has won 3 of the last 4. They've played pretty well against San Jose, but they've been close games. I mean, it's really amazing how many games have been tight with these two teams. 4 consecutive 1-goal games between the Sharks and the Hurricanes, and Carolina's 3 victories were all by 1 goal, 2-1, 2-1, 3-2 in those games. So yes, you would think Carolina the much superior team than San Jose the last couple of years, but they've been close games. Carolina, obviously, back home, they're playing very good hockey. 5-1 in their last 6 games. I know they had that little swoon there. I wouldn't even call it a swoon because they had a couple of those games where they badly outplayed the opponent, and they just ran into some just terrific goaltending in those games. The Nashville loss, the Columbus loss in a shootout, where they outshot the Jackets 42-18. So they were kind of unfortunate to lose those games because they really played well enough to win. And obviously they've turned it around 5-1. Freddie Anderson, we think he'll be in net. He's been very good actually since coming back. So that's good to see because you always worry about, consistency game to game sometimes with Frederik Andersen, especially at playoff time. Obviously the ability to stay healthy for both goalies, Anderson and Ranta. They've basically got elder statesmen when it comes to their goaltending, Carolina. So you got to worry about that a little bit. Can it hold up come playoff time? I don't know if I trust San Jose enough. I mean, it's certainly obvious minus 300. And look, we saw 2 minus 400 favorites last night go down to defeat. So that's all the more reason why if you're looking at these kind of favorites, minus 310, you got to maybe tread lightly sometimes. But I don't know if I trust San Jose enough. Carolina's really playing well. Carolina, by the way, if you look at their schedule, they play Boston Sunday. Could that be a look ahead? I don't know. I don't know if San Jose is good enough to take advantage. San Jose is really slumping. Their only victories were against Arizona and a home win against Dallas, where they caught Dallas in a favorable spot. They're still giving up far too many goals for my liking. But I wanted to bet Carolina team total over, but then I looked at the series history. It's been nothing but unders, nothing but tight, lower scoring games. So I ended up passing.
I want this under 6.5. It's a minus 125 on the alternate line at Bet365. The under 6 at plus 110 might even be a little bit more appealing than eating that minus 125 juice. But you look at certain things when you want unders in these high totals, and one is neither power play is working. And Carolina now without Patches too, and I don't know. God, it'll be hard for Patches to come back from this. But this is a spot where I would like to move on this under 6.5. I'm surprised it's that high. I'm going to take a little closer look, but I expect to be on that under 6.5 in Sharks Hurricanes. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. Bobano, 7 p.m. Eastern, LA Kings 27-17 and 6, 13-8-4 on the road at the Florida Panthers 23-21 and 6, 12-6 and 3 at home. We just talked about two teams that were struggling on the power play over the last 10 games. Now we'll talk about teams that have caught fire on the power play. The Florida Panthers 39.4% power play over their last 10 games, 5-3 and 2 over that period. But their penalty killing struggling at 67.6%. Kings 6-4-0, 29% power play over those 10 games, and 85.7% penalty killing. If this team just had goaltending, I mean, how far could they go? I don't know how good they are. I'm beginning to think that the West is so much weaker than the East, and I'm just confused watching the Kings right now. I don't. And they're dealing with injuries up front. Trevor Moore, Artur Kaliev, Gabriel Vilardi, and Carl Grundstrom are all out. So it's kind of they're a tricky team to cap. Panthers coming off their second straight loss, 7-6 in overtime in Pittsburgh on Tuesday. We talked about another team that struggles with goaltending. I mean, we knew as soon as Bobrovsky signed that enormous contract that was going to be a weight around the neck of the franchise. Let's take a look at the line history here and then hand it over to Bobano. Florida opening up at minus 144. They're now minus 146. The total opened up at 6.5, and we now see a 7. My first thought was, could they give us a 6.5 for the decent vig? And that was not the case. It was minus 130. Take it away in Kings Panthers.
Yeah, I like the over here. I mean, I've been riding these Florida Panthers games over the total. I like it here. I think you're going to see a back and forth type of affair. LA coming off a 4-3 victory in overtime against the Philadelphia Flyers. They've been actually trending over the total as well, 5-2 in their last 7. Florida's gone over in 5 straight. I don't like what I'm seeing really in their own end defensively, but obviously they're capable of scoring goals, and we've definitely seen that as of late with the Panthers. Goaltending matchup, we don't have it confirmed yet for either side. And Florida, of course, Bobrovsky's been out. They've been hesitant to put Spencer Knight in. They thought he was going to start the game against Pittsburgh on a back-to-back, and it ended up being Lyon for a second straight night. So it makes you think, is this guy, is he ready to go? Is he ready to start if need be? So that was a little confounding. We'll have to wait and see on this, because right now the Panthers have all 3 goalies up with the team. So Bobrovsky's still day-to-day. I don't think it'll be him. It's likely going to be Knight or Lyon, either Knight returning or Lyon once again for the Panthers. Probably for LA, it'll be Phoenix Copley, but again, that hasn't been confirmed. Copley's not nearly been as sharp the last few starts. If you look at his numbers, he's actually given up 3 goals or more in 4 of his last 6 starts coming into this game. So still his numbers overall are very good. 2.8 goals against. That save percentage has dropped, though, quite a bit. It is worth noting. 3.08 goals against average and an .886 save percentage this month, though, tells you that, I don't know if it's regression. I don't know if it's that other teams just, there's more video evidence of basically Copley's style of play, and you have a better idea of how his weaknesses and some of his tendencies in that. But he's not nearly as good as he, was during that blazing hot, 11-2 run he was at one point. So he's come back down to earth a bit. Bottom line is, I think Florida will find the back of the net. I think LA will find the back of the net here. And even if it is Spencer Knight, guy hasn't played in a while, and he hasn't had a good season for the Panthers. He might be their goaltender of the future. But clearly, he's not at that level yet. Remember, before his recent absence, he only had a 3.06 goals against average, 906 save percentage. So it's going to be an over for me, regardless of the goaltending. Over 6.5 at -128.
You can find the -125 over 5 dimes. We'll give you that. A lot of books have moved it over to 7. If you had a free $500 bet offered on side only in this spot, let's just take a look at what happened again. A -144 to -146. No movement at all, really. What would you do? Would you back the Kings at this dog price?
Yes, no doubt. It would be dog or pass for me. I ain't laying this price with Florida. No way.
Understandably so. Understandably so. Okay, Bobano on the over 6.5. It's just too costly to bet this over, but it's all signs sure point in that direction. So I can understand if cappers were doing that. Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern. Detroit Red Wings 21-18-8, 9-8-5 on the road. The New York Islanders 23-22-5, 13-9-2 at home at UBS Arena in Elmont, New York. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Move over here. We go. This one, at first thought, I was like, God, I'd like to back the Islanders here, but I just can't vouch for their offense at all. I mean, I just can't trust them to put the puck in the net. The Islanders opened up at -165. They're now -169. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 6. It's dropped to 5.5. Now that 5.5 is a plus money under. And we got Magnus Hellberg, Ilya Sorokin listed. Hellberg 3-3-1, 2.70 goals against average, 897 save percentage. Sorokin 15-16-4, 2.44 goals against average, 922 save percentage, 3 shots. He's been poor of late, and he allowed 10 goals in his last 2 games. When Varlamov was listed in against Ottawa, that I liked it, and I moved on the Senators team total under 3, and I also moved on the Islanders expecting them to deliver, and they didn't again. This team is just not winning hockey games. 1-6-3 over their past 10, and you look at their power play, 4.2% power play. I mean, that's just atrocious over the last 10 games. And now Noah Dobson remaining day-to-day with an undisclosed injury. Who are you going to put on the point in that power play? I mean, Pelech or Pollock? I mean, those guys are great defensemen, but they're not power play defensemen. Wings on the second half of a back-to-back after defeating the Habs 4-3 in overtime last night. I wanted to back the Wings, but I just couldn't take them at that price. I'd said all year that you don't want to fade the Habs or the Coyotes at home, and I finally faded the Coyotes at home last night. And, of course, I take it right in the fucking prison pocket with a 5-0 smackdown and have to send a message to Clint saying that I probably should cool down on my threats on Mullet Arena. But the Islanders have lost 6 straight. I mean, I don't know how they're backed, and I can't back them here. And but I'll never fade a team that comes home after a horrific road trip. So I'm just kind of feel like my arms are sort of tied here. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. Shout out to the Sweaty Butcher in the house. Take it away, Wings, Islanders.
Yeah, my arms aren't tied. I like Detroit. I'm taking Detroit. This price is ridiculous for the New York Islanders, flat out. Now, I know it's a rest advantage. They played Wednesday. It's back-to-back for Detroit after being in Montreal last night. But Detroit's won 3 of their last 4. They've been competitive in every recent game, even the losses, 2-1 with Philly, 4-3 with Zona, 4-3 with Columbus, 6-3 with Colorado. Most of their losses, they've been right there in the game recently. And, you've got to ask this Islanders team to score. Their offense is just in a helpless place right now. They are just everybody collectively is struggling to score right now. Beauvillier's done nothing. Barzal is in a slump. Anders Lee actually has been the one bright light for them, and Brock Nelson's chipped in here and there. They've gotten occasional offense from those 2 guys, and everybody else is just either gripping the stick or in a massive slump. I mean, this team offensively during the 6-game losing streak coming into tonight, they've scored 2 goals or less in 5 straight games coming into tonight. You just can't win hockey games. The power play is pathetic. They've gone 8 straight games without a power play goal. I think they've sunk all the way at this point in time to 30th in the NHL with that power play. That's not very good at all. It's just a team that in this kind of price range, there's issues trusting them. And, Detroit, actually their back-to-back record's not awful. If you look at their results here on the second of back-to-back games, 3 and 4. on the season. They're coming off that overtime game last night against the Montreal Canadiens. So again, I totally understand that from a spot perspective, situationally and schedule-wise, there are some advantages here for the Islanders. But right now, they cannot put the puck in the net. They're pressing. And even Lane Lambert said, we're pressing. We can't find a goal and we need it right now. And that's a tough way to play. When you're overthinking things and maybe you're passing instead of shooting and shooting instead of passing, that's where they're at right now, this New York Islanders team. So for me, it's Detroit. I'll take a shot with them at the plus price. Just a straight fade of the Islanders, something I've been doing a lot lately. And I was on Ottawa, actually, in that last game on Wednesday night. So it's been fade city for me for the Islanders, and back to the well tonight.
Plus 155 you can get for the Red Wings. Lee Davis says, is Hellberg bad? No, he's not bad. He's never succeeded in North America for whatever reason. He's an older goaltender. How old is he? He is 31 years old. He's an older goaltender. There was a few years there with St. Petersburg over in the KHL where he was arguably the best goaltender in the KHL. It was a legitimate statement if you said he was the best goaltender over that 3-year period in the K. So he's not a bad goaltender. He's a good goaltender. And you look at a team like the Kings or the Canucks, and you're like, how are these guys available for other teams? I mean, this was their third stringer. Remember, Nedeljkovic had to get cut or dropped for him to come in. And then J-Dub says, how come you don't factor the line movement in hockey like you do in other sports? It's just because I don't care about the line movement in NHL. I mean, we've seen how important it is in college basketball and NBA. I just don't feel the same way about it. And also, what you get is it's kind of tricky. Like when you look at the money lines, when there's 2,000 tickets in, the dog is always going to have 80% of the bets on it. Always, just always. How many professional bettors do you know are going to take a minus 240 or a minus 250? Like they're zero. So I'm always going to tell you that the big bets are coming in on the dog on the money line every time. Like and that doesn't help anybody. And then I don't care where the total's moving. And in the past, it all really started last year in the regular season when I was destroying totals. I'd beat a total by a half goal and 30 or 40 cents. And lose. My ROI was negative when I was destroying. And I was like, okay, all I'm seeing are these, public plays before everybody else because I do it for a living. So there are many reasons, but I just don't want anything to do with NHL market movement. Because, the thing is, the most important job I have, look, I need to succeed in gambling. I need to. Like the stakes are high. My whole life is sort of dependent on it. But this show, I have to give you guys the best and most up-to-date information. That's what makes this show important, and that's why I put so much time into the prep. And I feel like giving you guys the market moves in NHL is a detriment to somebody's plan. Bobano moves on the Red Wings at plus 155. Let's move on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, Vegas Golden Knights, 29-17-3, 15-4-3 on the road at New York Rangers, 26-14-8, 12-9-4 at home, Madison Square Garden, New York. If you would have told me that this would be the line for a Vegas Rangers game, in end of January, if you had told me that 2 months ago, I'd be like, well, what happened? What happened to Vegas? If you are on the ground in Vegas, Eichel's taking heat. My goodness, is this guy taking a ton of heat, not playing up to expectations. Logan Thompson has been strong enough. I mean, nobody thought he was going to sit here with a .925 save percentage. He's sitting 19-3-2, 2.71 goals against average, .912 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Shesty, there's times where I'm like, oh, Shesty's back, and there's times where I don't know if he is. Vegas 4-5-1, 16.7% power play, 85.7% penalty killing. Excuse me, the Rangers 6-2-2, 20% power play, 84.6% penalty killing. The Knights losing ways have continued. They've lost 2 straight, 5 of 6. They've lost the first 2 games of the 6-game road trip. They come in off a 3-2 overtime loss at New Jersey on Tuesday. Coin letting us know that Aiden Hill's confirmed for Vegas. Thank you for letting us know that. Slat says Mark Stone is a China doll. He is, unfortunately. He's such an important hockey player. He's played such a, when they signed him that contract, I was like, he's not worth that money. And then you watch him for a bit with the captain, on his jersey, like maybe he is. Rocco says, give me the Rangers plus 100. We got Res Mob joining us. Astute Chaos. We got Jay in the house. Lucky Lefty, AEOD. Rangers coming off their second loss in 3 games, 3-2 in overtime at Toronto on Wednesday. I don't know how I wasn't on the under in that game. Very, very frustrating. I was on the Rangers, and they were up 2-1, and then it tied up, and then Marner scored a beauty in overtime. Let's just take a quick look at the line history here and then hand it over to Bobano. I mean, this is Rangers or nothing, but I don't know. There's been a 3-cent move towards Vegas, and total-wise opened up 6 as a pick'em. It's now juiced to the under. Take it away, Bobano. The floor is yours. Golden Knights, New York Rangers.
Yeah, it's I won't be involved, I don't think, in this game. I took a shot with Vegas against New Jersey, and man, that was my New York Rangers the other night. Very similar type of loss. Rangers have the lead, Leafs tie it late, and then they win in overtime. Same thing with my bet with Vegas against Jersey. Dougie Hamilton took over, tied it in the final minute, and then he wins it in overtime with a power play goal. So very unfortunate for Vegas in that game. And look, they are a banged up hockey team, and it's a lot of key players out. I mean, they still have, also keep in mind, Shea Theodore, Zach Whitecloud, 2 important blue liners out. Mark Stone's still out for them. Jack Eichel's in a slump, and with Stone out, they need Jack Eichel going, and he is not right now. This has been stunning how poor he is, and he's been talking about it, and he's all talk, no action, essentially. He's got 1 bloody point in the last 6 games. I mean, that's not good enough for a player of his stature. He hasn't been very good. He's not noticeable out there right now in a lot of games. That's troubling. He doesn't look like a big-time hockey player to me at this point in time. Maybe he can be at some point, but they need a whole hell of a lot more out of him. He's got to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to make a play to take over this game and turn the tide, turn the momentum, and he's just not doing that right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. It's unfortunate, and unfortunately for them, some of the players they count on for offense kind of started to slump for them in recent games. Riley Smith's cooled off after a really good start to the season. Jonathan Marchessault's on a 7-game goalless streak, so it's collectively now. Eichel's not going. You don't have Mark Stone. And there's a lot of other players that are, a lot of zeros on the goal column lately for the Vegas Golden Knights. And you've got the Rangers back home after the tough loss in overtime against Toronto. Certainly would expect the Rangers to bring a pretty good effort here to the table against Vegas. Again, a team that dismissed Gerard Gallant. I mean, it's not like the players are extra incentive to beat Vegas because Gerard Gallant's their coach now and the way he got treated in Vegas, but it's something to factor in. I mean, for me, I would look Rangers, but it's not the price I'm looking at for, so I'm going to stay away.
Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know if it's worth the price either. But I kind of want to move on them. Don Play, this is one of the rare spots where I've done nothing. I'm going to talk everything out with you guys. But yes, I like the under in that Sharks Hurricanes game, and I'm going to decide whether to take it at 6.5 at -125 or take it at 6 at +110. I guess so. Rangers are just not worth it. I mean, they've been playing so much better. Problem is that you would think that you would get that Vegas would not be +135 on the road here on this trip. They play the Islanders tomorrow night. So that with Aiden Hill involved, does that change your thought process at all? And we have a news report coming in from Jose Bouquet. Jose, that is our very next game. So I still lean towards the Rangers. I thought they played good against the Leafs. I think they're a really good hockey team. Yeah. But is this a spot where we can kick Vegas while they're down?
Well, Aiden Hill actually. And look, Logan Thompson's been pretty solid. Aiden Hill's been really good. 10-4. With him as a starter this year, 2.71 goals against, 905 save percentage. He's been really solid for the Vegas Golden Knights. He gave up 2 goals when they beat Pittsburgh 5-2. He gave up just 2 goals when they beat Florida 4-2. His last start was a loss, but he didn't play terribly. Gave up 3 goals. They lost at home to Detroit 3-2. He's really been solid, Aiden Hill. But I still like the range. I still lean Rangers here. You could do Rangers in regulation. I don't hate that. But I don't know. There's something about Vegas to me. And even regulation. I could see this going overtime. Like the Vegas New Jersey game. That's why that's the bet I would look at. If I were to get involved, I'd look at Rangers in regulation. But I also have this weird pit in my stomach feeling that we're going to see overtime possibly, and it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a 1-goal game. So I'm going to end up staying away.
Yeah, I think that I still kind of think it. I don't know. I guess I'll take a little more time. It's hard when you're touch and go on a favorite. You should be touch and go on the Dogs, but I kind of want to back the Rangers, but that's just because I believe in the team and have futures on them. Sky Dragon says, I need Landeskog to play one game this year, so his under 33.5 goals isn't void. He's got to play a couple games before the playoffs. The whole thing is, LTIR driven and making sure that he's right. There's just no way you can start him in the playoffs, and we haven't heard of a horrific setback. We heard the first setback. I mean, if you don't, I think you're good. I think you're good. He's got to be here. Andrew G says, fade Vegas. I'm interested in it. We have a breaking news report from our Jose Bouquet.
Oh, sorry. I'm under pressure. I can't process under pressure. Yes, I'm a very good newsman. Austin Matthews out 3 weeks at least, sprained knee.
3 weeks for Austin Matthews. I didn't realize that he was going to be out for that long. MDR, it's not going to be Logan Thompson in net, though. It's Aiden Hill, which was announced here from the chat. Senators, Leafs, Scotiabank, Toronto, Ontario. Okay, so the easiest bet over the last 15 years in the NHL is backing the Ottawa Senators anytime they play Toronto, whether it be in Toronto or in Ottawa. It's simply the best ROI that exists. And I wonder if Austin Matthews being out takes a little bit away from that bet. We'll take a look at the line movement, but we've seen the Leafs and adversity. And my goodness, has this team handled it with aplomb this year. And it made me a believer in this squad. It doesn't hurt that Samsonov is playing so well. There's Dabby Cab in the house. Sky Dragon says, well, at least the Leafs' best player, Nylander, is still Nylander is still healthy. I was for certain going to be on the Ottawa Senators, and now with that news, I have some cold feet. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Ottawa, Toronto. We have Toronto opening up at minus 238. They've dropped to minus 196. It was minus 227. The news came out at around 10:30 this morning, so about an hour ago, about Matthews, and so there's a 20-cent move then. Totals wise, it's opened up at 6.5 and has dropped to 6. Ottawa 4-6-0 over the past 10. Power play hitting at 22%. Penalty killing at 78.8. Toronto 7-2-1, 21.9% power play, 87.5% penalty killing. Ottawa snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 2-1 win at home over the Islanders on Wednesday. And Ridley Gregg looked really good. First game of his career, 2020 first-round pick, late first round, 28th overall. And those players rarely succeed. He had an assist. He had 8 shots on goal, and he blocked 2 shots and was given the 3rd star of the game. Great start in trying to replace Josh Norris and maybe getting an opportunity for top 6 minutes because Pinto did not take that second-line centerman spot. The Leafs coming off their second straight win, 3-2 overtime win at home over the Rangers. Take it away for us here. LJ from H-Town says Leafs record at home is great. Team total over. Team total over without Austin Matthews. I wonder what Bobano has to say. Let's hear his thoughts. Senators, Leafs.
Yeah, the Toronto with no Matthews. I think that they've been able to win without him before. So I mean, that's not just one of those knee jerk. Let's bet Ottawa now without Matthews. I was leaning Ottawa as well. I look at this matchup though, and Toronto's dominated Ottawa here in this building. 6 straight wins over Ottawa here at Scotiabank Arena. Ottawa, if you look at their recent results, they just can't string 2 wins together either. That's a concern for me. They have gone, it's been forever since we've seen this team win 2 games in a row. It was early this month. That's about it. I mean, since then, they beat Arizona, lose the next game, beat Pittsburgh, lose the next game. They coming off the win against the Islanders, but the Islanders are absolutely brutal right now, especially offensively. They just can't put the puck in the net. And Matt Murray's in net for the Leafs. And, we'll have to see how he fares, but I actually think, facing his former team, he's going to want to play well tonight in this game. And he sees Samsonov getting all these starts, playing extremely well right now for the Leafs. And I could see Matt Murray, who's going to – and I knew he would get this opportunity. I think the plan all along was for Murray to start this game and they'll have Samsonov get the last few. Now there was some discussion after another win with Samsonov. And by the way, Samsonov's record on home ice is like 15-0-1 this year now after the win against the Rangers. So there was some talk about, I think all along they planned to give Murray this start, but after the wins are piling up for Samsonov, he's playing great. He's been lights out at home, that maybe they would change those plans and put Samsonov in again tonight against Ottawa, especially with it being a home game where he's 15-0-1 as a starting goalie this year. But they decided, nope, we're not going to alter those plans. This was going to be a Matt Murray start all along, and we're going to stick with that here. And he is facing his former team, which I think, and look, he knows that Samsonov is playing great, and if he wants to get more opportunity in between the pipes, this is a start where Matt Murray's got to be at his best. And Matt Murray's had some horrible games. He's also had some great games. And so I think tonight, I have a feeling he's going to play well. I really do. I have a feeling he's going to play well tonight. He's certainly rested. He hasn't played in a while. And again, Toronto's dominated Ottawa. They've won 6 straight. Sometimes you do see the first game without one of your top players, Matthews in this case. Everybody steps up and everybody tries to do a little bit more. And you dig in and you overcome something like this. And to me, there's just way too much inconsistency in Ottawa's game. So all these factors, I don't know if I was going to bet Ottawa even before the Matthews injury. I certainly am not going to lay the price with Toronto, but I was never, even before the Matthews news broke, fully into betting Ottawa here. And now I'm even less into it. So it's a pass for me.
I wanted Ottawa. I was thinking of only taking the first period, but I'm not going to fade the Leafs without their star player in the lineup, but we know how that works initially. And we've seen what the Leafs have done, missing 4 defensemen. This is a team that has character. As much as I want to, believe that's not the case, they have character.
They're rolling on home ice too. And actually their overall home record this year, what is it now? 19-7? Pretty damn good.
Very good. Yeah, 19-3-4, 19-7. Mike M says Maple Leafs are 0-13 to the under when either home or if they were home last game and total over 6 with less than 2 days rest. I would move on this under 6.5 if it was still there. At 6, I'm not going to take the L on the line movement. That's almost as much of a, not quite, but almost as much of a loss as actually losing a bet. So too bad. My plan was to move on the Senators. I'm not going to do that here. Let's move on. Move this over here. Let's move on. Next up for us, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the New Jersey Devils. So many of my colleagues and friends have made so much money off the Devils, and I've not been one of them. And can't quite figure them out the way I'd like to. Obviously, they're very good on the road. That loss that they took last night, 6-4 in Nashville, just their 3rd loss in regulation in 23 games on the road this year. Stars 28-13-9, 13-5-5 at home. There's another tough team to figure out. Think of doing the math. You're like, whoa, you're telling me that over 20% of their home games are decided in overtime or a shootout? I mean, that they're just a tricky team to figure out as well. And I don't like them. I don't like Ben, as you know. I don't like Seguin, but I love Jason Robertson. Let's take a look at the line history here on this one. We have Dallas opening up at -143. They've taken 7 cents. It's -150. There was a 13-cent move towards them at 11:33 this morning, 10 minutes ago. From a total standpoint, it opened up at 6, slightly juiced to the over. That's where it stands right now. Devils 7-2-1 over the past 5, 25% power play, 76.9% penalty killing. When they were on that massive winning streak earlier in the year, their power play was at like 14 or 15%. It wasn't this snipe job on the power play. I mean, that shows that they're the complete package. Vanacek going up against Ottinger, I have listed, but it escapes me who was in. Was Vanacek in last night, Bobano?
No, it was Blackwood against Nashville.
Okay, it was Mackenzie Blackwood. Okay,
it'll be Vanacek.
So Vanacek 25-2 this year, 2.30 goals against average, 916 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Ottinger 2.24 goals against average, 924 save percentage, looking much better. The Stars coming off their 2nd straight overtime defeat at home. The latest was a 3-2 loss to the Canes on Wednesday night. This is as healthy as they've been all season long. Take it away for us, Bobano. New Jersey Devils, Dallas Stars.
Yeah, this is dog or pass for me. I just haven't decided if I'm going to bet the dog. Even though it's a back-to-back, again, it's like the Detroit game where it's actually, an extra rest advantage for Dallas. And you'd think Dallas is going to eventually bounce out of this, especially on this homestand, but they lose back-to-back games in overtime to Buffalo. and Carolina. New Jersey losing last night 6-4 against Nashville, and it was an even game. It's just Mackenzie Blackwood stinks. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, I've seen enough of Mackenzie Blackwood where he's not the answer in net. It's got to be Vitek Vanacek's team moving forward. You will see him in net most likely tonight on the back-to-back. Devils have a winning record on a back-to-back, 4-2 this year on the second night of back-to-back games. So I kind of like the Devils here in this game. I mean, I haven't made up my mind yet if I'm going to back it, but they did win in Dallas last year. I should point out as well, 3-1 late in the season. They got the win in Dallas. And Dallas, lately at home, they've not been automatic as they were earlier in the season. In fact, their home record is actually only 13-10 now. And they actually have more road wins. And we know how good New Jersey is on the road, 18-5 this season on the road. That loss to Nashville last night, only their fifth road loss of the season here. So again, you've got the Stars that are just right now, they're just in one of those situations where they're not playing terribly. They're just, they're not scoring that timely goal. They're not getting that timely save in some of these close games. And that's made all the difference right now. So, you know what? I think I will go ahead, Jimmy, with this plus 135 at Pinnacle, New Jersey. I'll lock that in. I like New Jersey here. I like the price. You look at it, and I think when you see it, they'll look to bounce back here.
Yeah, they have great coaching, and it's just not going to be a situation where what happened last night, whether or not you want to blame Blackwood or not, is going to be allowed to continue, especially on the road where they've been so good. And the Stars leaving points on the table with these overtime losses, and the Stars are as healthy as they've been all year. I'm starting to really stare at Lee Davis saying this is a good underspot, similar to the Bruins Bolts under yesterday. You have Ottinger playing at a very high level. The Stars, so both teams are sort of following their coaches into a more accountable defensive style. And I am interested in this under. I lost on it badly last night. With no thanks to Blackwood, but I'm interested in this under. I'm starting to agree with you, Lee. I think this is
under 4-0-1 in the last 5 meetings, by the way, with the Stars and Devils.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely think I'll be rolling with you there on this one, Lee, my friend. All right, let's move on. We have 2 more games before we have Bobano breaking down the entire NCAA basketball card, and that's the only place you can see Bobano break it down. It's right here on Ben with the Bag on Fridays. He's not doing the Friday night basketball show so that everybody can come here and join us to see Bobano's college basketball breakdown. And both of us are having a hell of a season. All right, let's move on. 10 p.m. Eastern, Calgary Flames 23-16-9, 9-8-7 on the road. Seattle Kraken 28-14-5, 12-9-3 at home. Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. Dan Vladar 10-4-4, 2.75 goals against average, 904 save percentage. Philip Grubauer on the other side. I'm not sure if he will be in, but 4-8-2, 3.18 goals against average, 893 save percentage. Calgary 5-3-2 over the past 10, 21.4% power play, 84.6% penalty killing. Seattle 7-2-1, 19.2% power play, 84% penalty killing. Before we break down the X's and O's of this hockey game, I'd like to ask you about the heat that Sutter's been taking. It seems like there's a growing resentment towards him and his old school mentality. And last year, and there's been times where I've thought he was the best coach in the NHL. But do you think he's losing the room right now? Do you think that he's become extremely vulnerable? I mean, I know if they don't make the playoffs, he's going to be fired. But I mean, right now, Bobano, is there a problem here in the Flames dressing room?
I don't know if there's a problem yet, but yeah, to me, it's a situation where what he said about Peltier in particular was a little head scratching. The other day where the kid's just making his debut and he can't even really give him compliments. At the end of the day, he's done some weird things. I mean, he's been hesitant to give Dan Vladar at the net. That's also something that's been peculiar. He's not afraid also to bench certain players. I mean, certainly he's been less than a net. He's called out Huberdeau, a couple of times publicly, and you don't know always if for a guy like Huberdeau who's used to having great success in his career, when a coach kind of calls you out, you don't know if you're how you're going to handle that, if you're going to really and like having to deal with that. So yeah, there's some issues. The more the issues are, that Calgary sometimes, they go into this malaise where they don't bring it. They just don't. They play down to competition. They've done it a lot, during the course of the season. We saw it again last night, 5-1 against Chicago. Look, Markstrom was in net, and again, it's going to be another rough night for him, but the play in front of him was terrible. I mean, you were just giving up way too many quality chances to the Blackhawks last night in that game. Now, he's got to make some saves, but the defensive play in front of Markstrom last night was not very good in that 5-1 game. This would be such a typical NHL thing, though, for Calgary to lose last night, go into Seattle and win tonight. I totally wouldn't be shocked by that, because you're going to get this team's Seattle will have Calgary's full attention tonight in this game. You're obviously playing against the division leader, but I was hoping for a lot better than that. I actually wanted to take Calgary bounce back spot here, but not at this price. I ain't doing it. I was hoping for better than this, even money. With the way Seattle's playing, no, can't do it. So pass for me with the Flames and the Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to expect a bounce back spot. Flames on the second half of back-to-back after the debacle in Chicago last night. Kraken coming off a 6-1 home win over the Canucks on Wednesday night, feeling good about themselves. Also heard from the chat here about Beniers taking a cheap shot. So it's not sure if he will be in the lineup. I'm surprised TJ says this is my strongest play tonight in NHL. Slatsy told us after a cheap shot from Myers. At least Myers is doing fucking something for us. TJ says this is my strongest play tonight in NHL. I think it's wild because you have the Kraken coming off a 6-1 win and the Flames coming off a 5-1 loss. And to me, that screams, back to Flames early. It screams it to me. And the Kraken now, when they looked vulnerable for a minute, are now, moving towards winning the division, which would be absolutely shocking. I still think I have to take the Flames first period here. Unless they've completely... The reason why I asked you about the coaching staff was because that's my concern here. Are they going to show or do they just want Sutter to be fired and hit the golf courses? If I was certain that this team had a ton of heart, TJ says fourth game of a 5-game homestand for Seattle, very comfy spot. You're right. It is a very comfy spot, but it's a very comfy spot that you can come out a little lackadaisical in. Okay, I'm going to think about it longer, but the Flames first period was my plan going in. I'm not sure if it will stay the plan here. Let's move on to the final game before we get into NCAA basketball. This one pops off at 10 p.m. Eastern. Columbus Blue Jackets, 15-30-3, 4-15-2 on the road. I mean, that's just an abysmal road record. 4 regulation wins in 21 road opportunities. Canucks 19-26-3, 9-13-1 at home. Rogers Arena in Vancouver, BC. Rutherford's just taking so much heat. He took so much heat for calling the Canucks soft, and I don't think he deserves. It's he's in control of the players coming in and out now. So if your team is soft, then why didn't we pick up Ryan Reeves in the offseason when he was easily available? There are some tough guys out there that are available. When you see Hellberg as the third stringer for the Wings and you see Spencer Martin and Colin Dahlia for the second and third stringers for the Canucks, it's like, what are you thinking? You have a goaltender who's already had 2 major hip surgeries before this year. It's just Rutherford has been bad, and I champion the move to him, and I love the move, and I loved when he stood up and said, "If you don't let me trade Letang or Malkin, I'm leaving the Penguins." I love that shit, but I don't. I'm very concerned, and I hate this hockey team. And Bobano, when I looked at the line, I was completely flabbergasted to see the Canucks at -180. Rick Tocchet, he got a lot out of some pretty weak Coyote teams, and I believe in him as a coach. But the Vancouver penalty killing over the past 10 games is hitting at 56%. 56%. Now, can Columbus take advantage of it? I don't know. The Jackets coming off 2 hard-fought games in Alberta, losing 4-3 in overtime to Calgary on Monday, then defeating the Oilers 3-2 in overtime on Wednesday. The Canucks looked excellent in Rick Tocchet's debut. They looked like who they really are in Seattle the following day. Neil Mystic says Vancouver or nothing, fade Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm the opposite. I think that the unless we think that Columbus, I think Columbus is playing their best hockey of the entire season. I think that's a pretty easy thing to say. I don't see why we don't back them here. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. But I'd be curious to hear the line movement before he breaks it down. So let's just discuss this line movement very quickly here. We have the Canucks opening up -176. They're now -182. 6-cent move towards them. Total wise, it's opened up at 6.5, and it's now at 7. 7. Can you believe that? In the Columbus Blue Jacket game, it's at 7. Take it away here, Bobano. The floor is yours. Jackets, Nucks.
Yeah, Jackets and Canucks. I believe it's I think it's the end of the road trip here for Columbus. I'm pretty sure it is. I know Tocchet does want this team to play better defensive hockey, but I don't know if he's capable of getting it out of this group. And the one thing we have seen on a pretty consistent basis here with Columbus and Vancouver when they meet up head-to-head is lots of goals. Columbus is trending over at a 6-3 clip in their last 9 games. We know Vancouver. 7 against the 7 goals, 7, 6. They're just consistently going over the total. So you see 7s with the total here. I think there's still a bunch of 6.5s here. It looks like there's a few anyway. Caesars has 6.5 -125. And that's I like the over at 6.5. I don't like it as much as 7, but I like it at 6.5 here with over 6.5 here -125 Jackets and Canucks. It's been an over series history. Vancouver, they can talk all they want and about trying to make this team a little bit tougher, harder to play against team defensively, but clearly you're not seeing the results of that through 2 games. It's going to take time. I think when you look at it from a side perspective, this is tough. Because do you want to lay this price with Vancouver? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure no one should want to do that. But if you're looking at Columbus, they've played 2 really intense games in a row. Okay, Johnny Gaudreau's returned to Calgary. They've got, obviously, the Edmonton game, which they had the huge upset win in overtime against the Oilers. And now you've got this game against Vancouver, and you've got Seattle tomorrow night. So this is just not a very good spot for Columbus, in my opinion. Not one I trust them in. Against a weaker team, they could go through the motions a little bit. And let's be honest, they're still a flighty team enough that, could Vancouver beat this team tonight? And Vancouver, look, after the words of Tocchet against Seattle, calling them soft, and they were just completely dominated by the Kraken. You would think they're going to have a better effort here on home ice tonight. So I want nothing to do with this side, but at 6.5, I think both teams will find the back of the net enough. So over 6.5 -125.
Yeah, this Columbus defense, I don't know how they're doing it. I also don't know how good Gavrikov is. I need to watch him more. Maybe he's much better than but to think that Goodbranson could be on the second line, one of the worst Corsi defensemen of the decade, is hard to comprehend. I bet you Luke Shen kicks his ass tonight.
Yeah, there'll be a
Luke
fight.
Shen fights Goodbranson because
I think so too.
One of the things about Goodbranson was that he only fought when he wanted to.
Yeah.
He would never back anybody up. He would never support a teammate. It was all up to Goodbranson whenever he wanted to fight. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in the NHL. Sometimes you got to fucking fight to protect or to step up for your teammates. He never did that shit. I hate Goodbranson.
Geez, I couldn't tell.
Oh, fuck it. It just sucks. And everyone's like, what a tough guy he is. He's a fucking bitch. Only fights when he wants to fight. Luke Shen is a tough guy. Luke Shen might have the most value on our team. It was Kuzmenko, but
he fought Alexiak the other night trying to wake the team up against Seattle. It was a great,
I love
great effort on his part to try to do that. Yep.
All right. Well, let's move on here and move past this spot. Kind of a tricky card.
Very tricky. I thought for sure I'd have more, strong opinions, but I've only got just, a small handful.
Let's review action here for this one. I'm going to move on the under 6.5, maybe the 6 in San Jose, Carolina. Bobano's on the over 6.5 in LA, Florida. He's on the Red Wings plus 155. I think I'm going to move on the Rangers. I love the way they're playing, and I love the way they played against Toronto, a much better team than Vegas, in my estimation. Toronto is, and the Rangers are. I'm thinking of backing them here. Ottawa, Toronto, I expected that to be on my card. It's not. Bobano's on the Devils at plus 135. I'm going to move on the under 6 in that spot. I'm going to move on the Flames first period. I just find it very difficult to believe that. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but they got to come out hard. And I want the Jackets here, but you've given me some cold feet. I just wonder if I just have no idea what the Canucks are going to give you from game to game. So why put any money on it right now? North Ender says Leafs should grab Luke Schenn. The Lightning are doing everything they can to get Luke Schenn right now. There are a lot of teams after him. Okay, let's move on to college basketball. We're going to break down the entire college basketball card. 1-2 last night I went, but I'm 70-49 on the year, 58.8%. Plus 16.2 units, ROI plus 13.61%, average line minus 110. That's a pretty good record, unless you're looking at Bobano's record, 45-29 here on the show, 60.8%. So he's got a chance here to go for 60% on the entire season with us, which has never been done with me. I've never had a guest go 60+%. ROI plus 17.61%, average line minus 111 for Bobano. We're going to break down all the games. There's not a ton of them. I believe there's just 10 today on the docket in college basketball. So let's get right to work here. Let me move this over. And let's go. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Iona Gales be playing some pretty disappointing basketball over the last little while. 13-6, 6-2 in the Metro Atlantic. At Siena Saints, 13-7, 7-2 in conference. We're in Albany, New York for this one. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have Iona opening up at -6. They're now -6.5. Total wise, this opened up at 140. It's now 138. Let's just see what BetOnline did with this. BetOnline. God, so it's wild. BetOnline has this. Well, it's very heavily juiced, but they've moved it to 139. And then sidewise here for BetOnline, let's see what they have. BetOnline opened this at 6 and it's at 7, but it was at 5.5 for a little while. Interesting to see money move this back. Speaking of money moving it back, let's see exactly what the money is doing here for this one. And we're gonna have tickets in for all these 10 games. I love the opportunity to break down all these games here. On the card. So Iona, 3,311 tickets in, 74% of the tickets and 81% of the cash is on Siena. So we have, now it is a home dog, but a very public dog here. 73% of the tickets, 75% of the cash. Just the fact that this has moved over a little bit, that this has moved towards Iona a little bit, makes me think that maybe Iona is live here because they've not looked good. They come in off barely getting past Manhattan on the road, 84-76 in overtime as 14 or 14.5 point favorites last Friday. So they've been off for an entire week, not playing good ball with a good coach. I bet you they come out to play here. Siena comes off its second loss in 3 games, 62-52 at home to Fairfield as 4.5 point favorites on Sunday. They played so bad versus Fairfield that I was like, I'm not going to fade Siena here. But I think the market might be telling us that with Iona sitting for a week with these poor 4 games in a row, maybe they're live. Take it away for us, Bobano. Iona, Siena.
Yeah, I like Siena here. The home dog and public dog stuff, I couldn't care less. I think Siena in this game, you look at it, McCollum's definitely important. Javian McCollum, double-digit score for Siena. And he played against Fairfield. I don't think he was 100% at all for them in that game. And if you actually look, he didn't even get through the whole game. Keep that in mind. He played 9 minutes and then sustained the injury, and he came out of that game. And without him, look, 52 points, they struggled. So that's probably the biggest reason, I think, why there's maybe some money on Iona. That his status, we don't know. But hopeful he plays. And even if he doesn't, I mean, I like Siena more with him on the floor, obviously. But even without him, I still lean to them. Iona's shown me nothing of consistency on the road all season here, especially in Metro Atlantic play. You look at the road results. They blown out at Quinnipiac. They barely beat Manhattan in their last 2 road games. And even the home games, they barely beat Fairfield as 17.5 point favorites. They lost to Ryder as 12.5 point favorites outright on their home floor. 0-4 ATS coming into this game. They're not the kind of team I'm laying points with on the road right now, Iona. They're just not playing well. You look at series history last year, Siena was an 8.5 point home dog against Iona. They beat them outright, 70-64. Before that, we saw Siena win as well. Iona beat them by 3 at Siena 2 years ago. 3 years ago, it was Siena winning at home, 65-64. So bottom line is Iona in this building against Siena, they have not exactly played their absolute best and no recent evidence of them winning by margin. So there are concerns about the status of Javian McCollum. Questionable. That's a big deal. It is their starting point guard, one of their top scorers, but I'm still moving ahead with Siena here, +7.
Siena +7 for Bobano, +7 at -105. I mean, that was just a horrific loss to Fairfield for Siena. Lucky Lefty saying I own the first half. You know, that started to be, I'm starting to think like that. A whole week of practice after playing so bad for 4 straight games, going into a building where they beat you straight up last year. Just feel like from a coaching standpoint, they're pretty easy angles to get the most out of your players with Iona. I just wish Siena was coming in off a better showing. They are not. What is Iona first half here? I'm going to move over quickly and take a look at what I would get. I'm certainly
3.5.
3.5. I liked it. From a coaching standpoint, from a market standpoint, I'm going to take Iona first half here to come out of the gate fired up. They've been off for an entire week. So I'm going to be on Iona first half. Siena +7 at -105 for Bobano. Let's move on. Next up, 7 p.m. Eastern, Manhattan Jasper, 6-12, 4-5 in the Metro Atlantic. At Niagara, Purple Eagles, 10-9, 5-5 in Metro Atlantic. We're at the Gallagher Center in Niagara Falls, New York. I should go down and see some of these games. I don't know why we don't. I'd like to do that. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Niagara opening up at -5.5 point favorites. They're now -6.5. From a total standpoint, opened up at 128.5, and it's now at 127.5. And when we take a look at the cash flow for this one, 33% of the tickets are on Niagara and 77% of the cash. Move to the point. 51% of the tickets and 94% of the cash is on the over. Manhattan followed up that tough loss at home to Iona in overtime Friday by losing at Ryder 67-65 on Sunday as 8-point dogs. They're playing good basketball. They're certainly playing their best basketball of the year. Niagara snapped their ugly 4-game losing streak by winning at St. Peter's 59-57 on Sunday at a pick'em. Pretty amazing that that's how few points were scored, because St. Peter's shot over 50% from the field and close to 50% from three. And I mean, they turned over the ball up, but still only put up 57 points. Take it away here, Bobano, Manhattan, Niagara.
Yeah, I like the dog here as well. Manhattan, they're starting to play better, and these are the teams you look for once you get into late January, early February, these teams that, really, really were awful early in the season, but they start to show signs of continuity and they start to play better. And you're seeing that with Manhattan. They've covered 4 straight. They beat Niagara on their home floor, won at Mount St. Mary's. They had the tough loss against Iona, but hung in there against a very good team. Lost by 2 at Ryder, covered as dogs. You're getting the best right now out of the Manhattan Jaspers. And on the flip side here, you've got Niagara coming into this game, kind of the other side of the fence. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Their only win in the last 5 games was by 2 at St. Peter's. Not very convincing against a very, very porous offensive team. Now they're back home at the Gallagher Center, usually a pretty decent home court in terms of how well Niagara's been here historically. But last 2 times they've been here, they lost the game outright. 2-point dogs against Siena. They actually led a lot of that game, and they ended up losing it late, 70-64. Siena came back to beat them. Then they were 4.5-point favorites at home against Marist. They lost that game outright. So I think right now Manhattan playing their best ball of the year. I know it's a revenge spot for Niagara. Manhattan did beat them in Dratty Gymnasium earlier this month, but I'm looking against that here with Manhattan. They've covered 4 straight. It's a few too many points. I like Manhattan here +6.
6.5's now available. Pinnacle's moved it to 6.5. If you guys want to jump on the Manhattan bandwagon and your book's only offering a 6, I would wait. I think the books will follow Manhattan's move, and the big bets are coming in on Niagara. So if you like Manhattan, just be patient and you will get the 6.5. Let's move on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, Ryder Bronx, 9-9, 6-3 in the Metro Atlantic. At Marist Red Foxes, 7-11, 3-6 in conference. We're at McCann Arena for this one. Let's take a look at the line history here for Ryder Marist. We have a Ryder opening up at -2. They're now at -2.5. Half-point move towards them. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 130.5 and has dropped to 128.5. Did get to 127.5 and came up. So let's see what BetOnline did with this. BetOnline opened this up at 131 and dropped it to 129. So they had it even higher. Point spread-wise, they're the exact same. -2 to -2.5, but it did get up to -3 for the Bronx. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. 2,165 tickets in, 86% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on Ryder. That's wild. 62% of the tickets, 68% of cash on the under, and we see the total dropping. Coin says strong lead towards Ryder at -2.5. Lucky Lefty is on the over 126. Ryder comes in off their third straight win, a 67-65 victory at home over Manhattan Sunday. Underwhelming victory. They're 8-point favorites in that spot. Marist comes in off its second straight loss, 59-55 at Mount St. Mary's on Sunday. It's 3-point dogs. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Ryder, Marist.
Yeah, I'm actually going against the market move on the total. I like the over here. Series history play for me. And by the way, Ryder Marist over 128. It looks like at Bookmaker is the best we can get with that. So that's what I'm going to look at here. Over 128 there, -110 at Bookmaker. Looks to be the best of that as far as the total goes. Look, I mean, certainly Ryder's been an under machine. Ryder's not exactly a great offensive team, pretty solid defensive team. They've gone under in 7 straight. Marist, on the other hand, they obviously aren't the greatest offensive team either. But the thing that's important to point out is Marist 329 in offensive efficiency, but neither of these teams are very good defensively. So we just need some level of shot making here in this game because you've got Ryder and Marist respectively 281 and 259 in defensive efficiency right now. So, and you're not going to get a ton of pace in this game. Both teams are, lower on the totem pole when it comes to tempo and possessions per game. So that's another reason why this total's in the 120s. But for some reason, you get these two teams going head to head, and it's consistently gone over. 5 straight meetings have gone over. The points scored in those games were 140, 143, 146, 154, and 148. So we've seen these games clearing the total. And by the way, if you're wondering, wait, those games way over this total, but what was the total in those games? Well, 133, 134.5, 130.5, 134, and the most recent meeting in December last month, 77-71 Ryder. Total was pretty much bang on right where it is now. 128 was the total in that game. Flew over the total. So it's just something with these two teams when they meet, both teams have some of the best offensive success they have all year when they play each other. So, I get it in terms of form right now. You could see why people are liking the under, but this is it's not a coincidence that 5 straight meetings have gone over and most of them have been into the 140s. There's something to it. Both of these teams have offensive advantages clearly against the opponent. And for that reason, we're going against the move and we're taking over 128 -110.
You got it. You are locked in over 128 -110. Let's move on. Next spot on the board. Head over to the A10 for this one. St. Louis Billikens 14-6, 6-1 in conference at the Davidson Wildcats 10-10, 3-5 in conference. Davidson, North Carolina, John M. Belk Arena for this. Davidson opening up as a 1-point home dog, now 2-point home dogs. Let's see what BetOnline did. They opened it up as a pick'em. So they opened up as a pick'em. And it's now at +2 as well. Total wise, BetOnline went from 143 all the way up to 146.5. And Pinnacle opened it at 144, but also moved up to 146.5. There was a 2.5-point move to the over at 9:37 this morning. And you can imagine that was based on action here and not player injury maneuver. That BetOnline moved it up less so. Moved it just a point at 9:35 a.m. Interesting. Okay, so let's take a look at the cash flow here for this one. St. Louis Davidson. We have our first line value of the day is on Davidson here at Sports Insights. 25% line value. 6,200 tickets. 6,216 tickets in. This is the most bet game of the day here. 6,216 tickets. 16% of the tickets are on Davidson, but 51% of the cash, market moving away from them. 56% of tickets and 66% of cash on the under, in the market going up. So confusing information there. They both have the common foe in LaSalle, both coming off games against LaSalle. St. Louis comes in off its 5th straight win, 84-71 at home versus LaSalle on Saturday. Is 14-point favorites. Davidson snapped their 4-game losing streak Tuesday with a 64-57 victory at LaSalle. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Billikens, Wildcats.
Yeah, Davidson's done well head-to-head against St. Louis. They won both meetings last year, 79-58, 84-69. Problem is, I've not been all that impressed with Davidson this year. I mean, they had lost 4 in a row before they beat a pretty lowly LaSalle Explorers team in their last game. They lost at Dayton, lost at George Mason, lost at home to Richmond, lost at home to Dayton, lost at home as 9.5-point favorites to a really weak Northeastern team. It's just, yeah, they've done well against St. Louis in the past, but I think St. Louis is the better of these two teams. The only thing that's keeping me off St. Louis is that recent history and the fact that, on the road, we've seen some hiccups from St. Louis at times. The UMass loss definitely is one that stands out. But as far as this game goes, it's a pass with just a lean to the Billikens.
Yeah, the market is not helping lead me into any spot here, so I'm off this game in the A10. Too bad. Looked like a fun one. We've already heard that our man Rez Mob moving on Robert Morris Colonials. Let's talk about that spot here. Detroit and Mercy at Robert Morris. Mercy 8-13 on the year. Have had struggles on the road this season, 3-9. The Colonials just 5-2 at home. UPMC Event Center in Moon Township. Finally, Moon Township, Pennsylvania gets talked about here on the show. Let's take a look at the line history. We have Detroit Mercy opening up at +2. They got up to +3. They're sitting at +2.5 right now. So Detroit opening up at +2, now +2.5. Let's see if Bookmaker opened it at that same line. They didn't, +1. So market moving towards the Colonials. From a total standpoint, opened up at 145.5, now at 144 at Bet Online. Same deal over at Pinnacle. So movement to the under and movement towards the Colonials. 2,598 tickets, and 65% of the tickets, 97% of the cash is on Robert Morris. Wow. Then 53% of the tickets and 98% of the cash is on the under. So you have all these big bets coming in on the Colonials and the under, and the market's slowly moving in that direction. Detroit had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 76-67 loss at home to Oakland on Monday. It's 4-point favorites. It was disappointing. Robert Morris snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 72-38 win at lowly Green Bay on Saturday. It's 9-point favorites. That game was 19-17 at the half. So, they stepped up against the worst team in America in the second half, put up 53 points. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Detroit, Mercy, Robert Morris.
All right. For me, over 143, -108, Heritage Sports. I like the over here now, especially with I'm getting the best of the number, so I like that. We've seen these two teams both trend over lately, especially Detroit. They've gone over in 6 of their last 7. If you look at series history between these two teams, it's been more higher scoring than not. You saw, 3 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings. We've seen more than this current total between these two teams, and I think you'll see that here again between them. I think one of the key matchups here when you look at it too is, by the way, Detroit 5-1 to the over in their last 6 road games as well, 6-1 to the over in their last 7 games overall. And I think one of the big matchups here that is beneficial for both teams is Detroit stinks from the perimeter, defending it. Robert Morris, pretty good shooting from the perimeter, and the vice versa as well. Detroit, an excellent 3-point shooting team. Robert Morris, not good defending the 3-point line. So both of these teams should have advantages, especially from long distance. And I like this game over the total as a result. Again, you're getting a better number now as a result. And I was on the over in the first meeting between these two teams, and they bet that thing under too the first time these teams played. So I'm more than willing to do so again and go against the market. It worked out for me last time these teams met just recently, and I think we'll see the same here. And that game, as I mentioned, just recently, January 14th, 87-75. Again, that total came down. It flew over the total. So, for me, over 143, -108.
Yeah, Bobana, that was 13 days ago, you mean? 13 days ago.
13.
Yeah. You're confident on the over 143. So Bobana going up against the market move towards the under. And look at his records. It's a spectacular record here on the show. So I get it. I get why you trust yourself in this spot. Bobana on the over 143 at -108. Do you agree with this market move towards Robert Morris?
But the revenge spot for Robert Morris, yes, I understand that part of it. They are 5-2 at home, and Detroit's been lousy on the road. So, but I the reason I didn't take Robert Morris, didn't have interest, is I don't love laying points with this team, and Detroit has consistently been matching up very well with Robert Morris. Detroit's won 6 straight head-to-head versus Robert Morris, and 5 straight since Robert Morris moved to the Horizon League and became part of this conference. So since Robert Morris became a member of the Horizon League, they've played 5 times. Detroit's 5-0 straight up and 5-0 against the spread. I ain't going against that kind of track record.
Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Purdue, Fort Wayne Mastodons, PFW. 14-8, 6-5 in the Horizon. At Cleveland State, Vikings 12-9, 7-3 in the Horizon. We're at Wolstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Cleveland State opening up at -5. They got down to 3.5. They're at -4. So let's see what happened when it was brought out 4 hours earlier than that. Cleveland, their Ben line opened this up at -3.5. So the move, we're even talking an hour before Pinnacle even came out, was Cleveland moving from -3.5 to -5. So that tells a very different story than what you're getting from Pinnacle. Totals wise, at BetOnline, this opened up at 136.5. It's now 138. And over at Pinnacle, it opened up at 137, which is right where it stands. So again, I'm not going to take too much into this line move at Pinnacle that is towards PFW. Because it's still from the opening at BetOnline has moved towards Cleveland State. I just need to know that in my head. All right, so let's take a look at the cash flow here. We have 2,776 tickets in, 48% of the tickets, 60% of the cash on PFW. 50-50 with the tickets in the total, and just pretty much the same with the cash, 51% of the cash on the over. PFW comes in off their second win in 3 games. Really underwhelming 81-75 victory at home on Wednesday over IUPUI as 18.5 point favorites. That's how bad IUPUI is. Cleveland State comes in off its 4th win in 5 games, 85-77 at Wright State on Saturday. 3.5 point dogs. They're playing good basketball, and that was a good win. Good win. Take it away for us here, Bobano, PFW, Cleveland State.
Yeah, I like Purdue Fort Wayne here. +4, I think, is probably the best there is now, because you're right. It did open a little bit better number at 5, down to 4. Actually, you know what? BetWin has +4.5 -115, or BetMGM rather has +4.5 -115. So we'll lock that in on Purdue Fort Wayne here. And I also like this game over the total as well. Again, we saw this total, by the way, 137 -119 at Pinnacle for the total. Over 137 -119 at Pinnacle. So over, and then +4.5 -115 with Purdue Fort Wayne. Revenge spot for Purdue Fort Wayne. Purdue Fort Wayne's been very good on the road. Better actually on the road from a point spread perspective of late as well. You look at what they've been able to do. Wright State, they were 3.5 point road dogs, won outright in that game. Youngstown State, 4-point dogs. They won outright. The only bad game they had on the road was Northern Kentucky. They bounced back from that to beat Purdue, IUPUI rather, 81-79 in their last game. I mean, offensively, they've been good 2 of the last 3 games, especially. Cleveland State, meanwhile, they're a pretty good basketball team for sure. But you start to look at recent results for them when they've been home favorites. Not been great here in Horizon League play. 5.5 point favorites. Milwaukee lost outright in overtime. 13-point home favorites against Green Bay, one of the worst teams in this conference. And they only won that game by 5. So I think when you look at this matchup, Purdue Fort Wayne, obviously looking to bounce back after losing 72-60. And by the way, that was a close game. At halftime, Purdue Fort Wayne was leading. And in fact, it was a very close game until about halfway through the second half. And then Cleveland State just opened up, and Purdue Fort Wayne kind of went ice cold from the floor. Purdue Fort Wayne has still covered 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings against Cleveland State. And the only one they didn't was the last meeting that they met just 11 days ago. I think now on the road, catching points, they have a chance, I think, to win this game, but I'll take the +4.5. And again, I think after the shooting kind of went just completely ice cold for Purdue Fort Wayne in the last meeting against Cleveland State, that would have gone over the total if not for that, because that game got to 132. And it was on pace to go over until Purdue Fort Wayne went cold down the stretch. So I think you'll get better shooting for the duration of the 40 minutes. That'll help the game go over as well. So over 137, and also Purdue Fort Wayne +4.5.
You got it. You are locked in, Bobano. Let's move on to what was at one point a big game in the Summit League. Not this year. These two teams struggling. 8 p.m. Eastern, North Dakota Fighting Hawks, 7-15, 1-8 in conference at the North Dakota State Bison, 8-13, 5-4 in conference. We are in Fargo for this one. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have North Dakota State opening up at -8.5, a 4-cent move towards North Dakota. Let's take a look at Bet Online if they did anything different. They opened this up at 9. So, they did a ton. This had huge movement. Huge movement. Wow. Actually, no, that this is all wrong. Sorry, this is a mistake here from the site. So this moved at -9 at -110. It opened up for North Dakota State. It's now -8. That's as big as the movement has been there. Sorry, I got a little excited, but there was a mistake here, clearly. 141.5, the total opened up. It's now at 138.5. So that's where we stand. Let's take a look at the cash. Mike M says North Dakota State and the over double-up spot for Mike. We have 2,598 tickets in. 45% of the tickets, 49% of the cash on North Dakota. It's not a lot of help there. 60% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the under. And we've seen that total drop. And we have Mike M liking the over. Interesting. These two programs have seen better days. North Dakota comes in off a 92-80 loss to Western Illinois on Monday, 6.5-point dogs. North Dakota State comes off its second straight loss, 75-73 at home to Kansas City on Saturday. It's 5.5-point favorites. They shot 55.1% from the field in the loss. They didn't turn the ball over, that much. They didn't get out rebounded that badly. And they lose a basketball game. Any team that loses a basketball game shooting like that and doesn't have a clear reason for it, makes me really uncomfortable. We certainly don't want to trust a team that's capable of losing to the fucking Kansas City Roos while shooting 55.1%. Take it away for us, Bobano. North Dakota Fighting Hawks, North Dakota State Bison.
Definitely, these are two teams that have definitely been better in years past than we're seeing here right now. And obviously, North Dakota, they've been just ripped apart at the defensive end by Oral Roberts and Western Illinois in each of their last two games. That's not something you want to see. In fact, both of these teams, in terms of defending, we're talking 300s in field goal percentage defense, both of them. So I'm kind of perplexed why the total's gone down. I did not bet this one over. I'm tempted now that the total's gone down, but I have not done so yet between these two teams, mostly because last year you saw how these teams played against one another. It didn't even come close to an over. You saw 132 and 120 in terms of points in those two games, so not even close to getting over the total. But I'm a little bit peculiar. It's gone down this much, but that those two games head-to-head last year between these two teams probably will be enough to keep me off the over lean. And that's really the only lean I have in this game is the over. From a side perspective, look, I'm not ready certainly to lay 8.5 here with North Dakota State. I'd probably lean slightly to the underdog in this one. The only problem is, they've just been absolutely awful and unable to hang tough with basically all their road opponents, this North Dakota team. Omaha, they lose by 6. Denver, lose by 7. Lose by 12 at Western Illinois, all 0-3 ATS in those games. So not two teams I'm willing to back here in this spot. So it's a pass for me.
Yeah, this is North Dakota Fighting Hawks or no bet for me. And I was also interested in the under, but seeing you guys like the over will just easily take me off of that bet. And maybe if the market kind of led me a little bit towards the Fighting Hawks, I would be on it, but it's not doing that. I'm staying off this spot. Let's head over to the MAC, a little MACtion for us. 9 p.m. Eastern, the Buffalo Bulls, 10-10, 4-3 in conference at the Kent State Golden Flashes, 16-4, 6-1 in conference. Kent State Golden Flashes had their 10-game winning streak snapped in the 86-76 loss at Northern Illinois on Tuesday as 12.5-point favorites. So you know that they're champion, ready to get back on the court here. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. We have Buffalo opening up at 11-point dogs. Wow. Big dogs. 11-point dogs at Penny. Let's see what BetOnline did. BetOnline opened this up at 11.5. It's now 10.5. They moved all the way down to 10. Totals wise, opened up at 150. Now at 150.5. Did get up to 151.5. It's sitting at 150.5 right now. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. Buffalo given the highest line value on the entire slate today, about 60%. 3,490 tickets in, 59% of tickets, 62% of cash on Kent State. 72% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the under. An under that's dropped just marginally. Buffalo comes in off its second win in 3 games, 91-65 at Ball State on Tuesday, 6-point dogs. Kent State had their 10-game winning streak snapped, as I said, in that loss to Northern Illinois. Take it away, Bobano. Buffalo Bulls, Kent State Golden Flashes.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Kent State had not lost to Northern Illinois because I'd probably feel better about Buffalo here. And I still lean to Buffalo here, plus 10.5 in this game. I mean, you look at series history, 4-1 against the number for Buffalo in the last 5 meetings. And Kent's victories were a 3-point win and a 5-point win. So there's really not any recent evidence of this team winning by margin. Now, this is not as good of a Buffalo team, as we've seen in years past. They've had better teams than this. I don't think there's any debate about that. But this team is coming off, some better performances. The Toledo loss wasn't terrible. In fact, they were right in that game. Toledo pulled away late and ended up winning by 9, but they crushed Bowling Green 100-71 at home, and a very, very impressive just beat down over Ball State. Ball State's a solid team. 6-point dogs on the road, and they go to Ball State and they win 91-65. Kent State, I can't explain how they lost to Northern Illinois. Not a very good team, but 86-76, a poor performance from them in that game. They'll be looking to bounce back now at home facing Buffalo. Again, a little bit less. I think I actually will make Buffalo official here. I mean, I'm a little concerned that Kent State comes out guns blazing here. We know this has still been a pretty good basketball team, and I worry that after losing to Northern Illinois, it's a slap in the face. It's a wake-up call, and they come out here and they not only win, but they win convincingly. But we're talking 10.5. We're talking a Buffalo team that's playing some of their best basketball all season. They've played better lately. And you're talking about in the last several head-to-head meetings, Kent State's 2 victories were 5 points or less. There's no evidence that they can beat this Buffalo team by margin. So I'm still going to move ahead with Buffalo plus the points.
I get why you are doing that. The first thing that I guess kind of shocked me was just the double digits. I thought this would open at an 8.5. It's now at 11. You're going to get plus 11 right now at minus 115 at Pinnacle. Is that minus 115 okay?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's fine. Yeah.
Plus 11. All the other books hang in the 10.5s. Plus 11 right now at minus 115 for Bobano. Molly Mouse says Kent State played Houston well. Always worth a shot. Thank you, Northender, my friend. Thank you. All right. Troy Torn says series history doesn't matter by itself. You have to look at series history results and pair it with the line movement. Robert Franklin leaning towards the Buffalo plus 10.5. Not a lot of things jumping out at me here off the hop, except, the more I'm sitting with it, I really like that Iona first half look. I just think that all the boxes are ticked there. And, a lot of people lost a lot of money on Iona over the last, 10 days, 2 weeks. I don't think I'm going to be one of them. I think I'm going to cash that one. But nothing else popping off at this point. Thank you, Joey Harb, my friend. Let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern. Oakland Golden Grizzlies, 9-12, 7-3 in the horizon. At Youngstown State Penguins, 15-6, 7-3 in conference. Youngstown, Ohio for this one. We will start with the line history here. We open up with Youngstown as 10-point favorites that move to 9. See what BetOnline's doing here. BetOnline opened this up at 10 and moved to 9 as well. Totals-wise, opened up at 155.5 and has dropped all the way down to 150. It went down to 149.5. So even now, 5.5 points of movement at BetOnline. Now let's see where Pinnacle opened this up, because this is the reason why they wait 5 hours. They're cautious. They opened this up at the same number, 155. So this movement didn't start happening really until this morning, till 10 a.m. this morning. So I'd be very interested to see, why there's been a 5-point move to the under starting just 2.5 hours ago. Lee Davis says he likes the over now. There's our guy, Officer of 50, Ayash Yala in the house. Let's pull up the cash flow here for Oakland Youngstown State. So there's 4 teams of the of these 20 that are playing today that have been given line value. We just spoke about Buffalo. They've been given the most. The other 3 are all sort of tied. Oh, we already talked about Davidson. I hope I mentioned that. I don't even know if I talked about the cash in that Davidson. Oh, yes, I did, of course, because the market was moving towards St. Louis, but Davidson had the big bets. So Davidson has line value. Now we have Oakland here with line value. 58% of tickets, 71% of cash on the Golden Grizzlies. 60% of tickets, 92% cash on the under. Oakland comes in off its second straight win, 76-67 at Detroit on Monday as 4-point dogs. They look good. Youngstown State comes in off having their 5-game winning streak snapped in the 88-75 loss at Milwaukee on Saturday's 4-point favorites. And we've already spoken about how bad of a basketball team Milwaukee is. Is this a bounce-back spot for Youngstown State, sitting as big favorites? Take it away. Bobano, floor is yours.
Yeah, I like Oakland here. I've been starting to make some money and cash some tickets with the Golden Grizzlies. I took them against Detroit in their last game as 4-point road dogs. They won outright 76-67. This team had some injuries, obviously struggled mightily early in the season, but Jalen Moore, one of their best players, recently came back from injury, and he's really helped them in terms of their offensive game. And look, defensively, they're still not a great team, but boy, they've improved leaps and bounds. They couldn't stop anything early in the season, but starting to see them play better at the defensive end of the basketball court. Youngstown still gives up a lot of points. It's worth noting. And yes, they're off that loss against Milwaukee, and they're an excellent offensive team. They have a plethora of scoring options. They're absolutely terrific in terms of scoring. They play with pace, no question about that. But their defensive game leaves a little to be desired. For Oakland, by the way, yeah, they got mauled by Youngstown 13 days ago, 85-69. But again, they were a little bit banged up in that game. They're healthier now. I think Oakland's best basketball might be ahead of them. So you're wondering, why is the number moving on Oakland? I think they're an undervalued team. They're healthier now. I like Oakland here in this game, plus the points. You can get them here at plus 9.5 minus 110 at PointsBet. So there you go, plus 9.5 minus 110 at PointsBet for Oakland. And now that the total's fallen this much, I'm on the over as well. It's just gone too low. I mean, you can get 150. Actually, you can get 149.5 minus 110 North Star bets. Over 149.5 minus 110 there at North Star. For a total that opened at 156, now we're talking, a 6.5 point move. Obviously, that was a very high total. I can understand why there was some move toward the under there. But keep in mind, they got to 154 in the meeting earlier this season. It's gone over in 5 straight meetings between these teams. Oakland's a very good offensive team. And Youngstown State's a great offensive team, but a very suspect defensive team. And they've gone over the total in 5 straight games. So, yeah, I probably would have been on the fence if this total was 156 where it opened. But now you can get me 149.5 as low as that. I think it's been moved too far down. So give me over 149.5 as well.
You got it, over 149.5. I like this look on Oakland. I like this look. The problem is Youngstown State coming off that horrific basketball game. That's the only thing that concerns me. Robert Terry talking about, if you want Oakland, take them first half, Youngstown full game, and look at the over. That's the only thing that concerns me, is that I guess I need Oakland full game here, just because I'm a little concerned that Youngstown State just comes out sharp after that loss. But I still think there's advantages with Oakland. So I'm going to ride with you on that Oakland spot. I'm going to be on Oakland full game there, and need them to be able to take a possible punch off the top. Mally Mouse says Youngstown State hasn't covered the first half last 2 games. Yeah, generally I would like a first half here. I would be looking at a first half here at this kind of spot, but I'm not going to today. Sky Dragon on a all Canada parlay, Flames money line, Raptors money line. It's a fun bet. Bobano just moved on Oakland plus 9.5 and the over 149.5, and I'm adding Oakland full game to my card. All right, let's flip the switch and head to Albuquerque, New Mexico for this one. Air Force Falcons 12-9, 3-4 on the road against the number 25 ranked New Mexico Lobos, 18-3 and 13-1 at the Pit in Albuquerque. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. This is the last college basketball game on the board before we head into NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh. Air Force opening up as 12.5-point dogs. That's where they stand. No movement. We'll take a look at Bet Online because they got the line out earlier. They moved it to 12.5. They've moved it to 13. It actually got as high as 13.5 at Bet Online. So slight moves towards the Lobos. From a total standpoint, this opened up at Bet Online at 141. It's now at 142. So not a lot of movement there. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. Air Force has been given implied line value from Sports Insights. 3,464 tickets in, 39% of the tickets, 40% of cash on Air Force. Then you have 35% of the tickets and 70% of cash on the under. 70% of cash on the under, and yet that total has climbed. A big shout out to our guy, Billy Brisbane, in the house, looking at his PFL Challenger Series action. Thad Jean. I want to call it John. I don't know. Who knows? It could be Gene, for all I know. Against Joseph Whitner, moneyline. Sorry, both of them. Sorry, Thad, John, and Joseph Whitner, moneyline parlay there for Billy Brisbane. Von Polo says these college basketball games today are terrible. We have a much better sleep, tomorrow. Look, I want action. Von Polo. And we've been destroying these Fridays. Money speaks. Air Force comes off its second straight loss, 82-52 at San Jose State on Tuesday's 3.5-point dogs. They shot 38.8% from the field, 18.2% from three, and were out-rebounded 37-21. They were destroyed and beaten in every aspect of the basketball game. New Mexico had their 4-game winning streak snapped in a tough 97-94 double overtime loss at Nevada on Monday's 3.5-point dogs. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Last game on the board, Falcons Lobos.
Yeah, this is New Mexico coming off the loss against Nevada, 97-94 in their last game in overtime. They'll be looking to rebound and bounce back here tonight as they host Air Force. Air Force been destroyed here the last two games by San Diego State and San Jose State, but they also do have road wins and covers at Fresno and Colorado State on their resume. Their pace, they're going to want to obviously slow this thing down. They do not want to be playing fast like New Mexico will be trying to implement that style in this game. And you look at the recent head-to-head meetings as well. New Mexico only won by 4 here at the pit last year. Air Force was 8-point dogs, and it was a 4-point win for New Mexico. Air Force, by the way, as well, the last time they went to New Mexico before that, also a 6-point win for New Mexico. So it feels high, this number. I mean, my lean definitely is lean to Air Force here in this game. It's hard for me to look at anything but over with New Mexico when they're at home, and certainly the market has kind of moved that way. This total opened 141, and it's gone up to 142, 142.5. I'm even seeing 143 here across the board in this one. But the one concern here is Air Force's transition defense is actually pretty solid. And that's where you need to be solid, obviously, when you're playing New Mexico. So I do lean to the over, but because I've been betting a lot of these New Mexico games over, but with Air Force really trying to slow it down, and you see that last year they were able to get their pace and hang close with New Mexico. It ended up only being a 69-65 game, 134 points, possessions were fewer. So for that reason, I'm going to end up staying off. I lean over, I lean Air Force, but no play for me.
Well, I'm going to move on Air Force full game. I think it's a bounce back spot where they were just outplayed, out hustled. And because of how badly they were out hustled, I'm going to take them full game instead of the first half. I would generally take them first half. Instead, I'm taking full game. Expect, 40 minutes of hustle from a team that just showed us none. And so even if we're down, even if I'm not winning this late, I might be able to get it home here. So I'm on Air Force full game at plus 13. All right, let's review all action before we get into NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh. Bobano on Siena plus 7 at minus 105. I'm on the other side first half. Iona first half. I really like, from a coaching aspect, I really think that they're going to get the best out of Iona early in this game after 4 straight poor finishes and having been off since last Friday in another ugly one. So a week of practice, a week of sitting in how lousy they've been playing. I expect them to come out fired up. Bobano's on Manhattan plus 6.5 minus 109. He's on the over 128 and Ryder Marist We stayed off St. Louis, Davidson. Bobano's on the over 143 in Detroit, Robert Morris. He's on PFW plus 4.5 and the over 137. We stayed off North Dakota State. Bobano is on Buffalo plus 11. And I'm going to be moving on Oakland full game. Bobano is on Oakland full game. He got 9.5. If I bet it right now, I could get 9. I'm concerned that I'll get 8.5 here when the show is over. But there's only 5 NBA games that we'll be breaking down. The over 149.5 also for Bobano in Oakland, Youngstown. And then I'm on Air Force full game plus 13. Troy Torrance is on Iona first half, Niagara moneyline parlay. And he's on St. Louis moneyline. Mally Mal's on that first half over 66.5. I believe you're talking Air Force, New Mexico. I believe. Let's just go over to the totals for this one. And yes, talking about Air Force, New Mexico. There you have it. Bobano in business. 8 NHL games, 10 NCAA basketball games, capped and attacked. Bobano will be with us here for our NFL Pub Hub. Still holding a lead here, and it is Big Ragu who's now moved into second place, trying to catch you late in the year. Last year's champion, Big Ragu, and he coming off hitting the Kelsey 2-touchdown prop for the Big Ragu. Bobano will be here with us, and I'm very excited about it. So our guy Bobano, any last words for the Cappers here sporting the show?
No, just another great show. Let's have a great night in NHL, college basketball, and conference championship Sunday. Looking forward to being back on the NFL Pub Hub again at noon, back at our normal time, right? Noon, well, it's usually 11, but noon Eastern because there's only 2 games, so we have a shorter show, noon Eastern for that. And I will be on with Jimmy for second half of San Francisco and Philadelphia, the NFC Championship game. I'll be on for the second half of that game on Sunday afternoon. So check that out, and check out both Betcast streams, of course, for the 2 conference championship games on Sunday. Looking forward to them. These are the great matchups, top 2 teams all year in the NFC, pretty much, especially down the stretch. And then, of course, you got a rematch of last year's AFC championship game, Bengals and Chiefs. I mean, on paper, you've got the matchups you wanted to see, and hopefully they live up.
I think that they will be living up to it as well. Please follow our guy, Bobano, on Twitter. All right, let's get into the National Basketball Association. We have our guy, Dutch Boy Fresh, joining us here shortly. Make sure we are ready for you. And let's get to work here. A 5-game NBA card on deck. And we can just get started, but our special guest is arriving right now. We are starting at 7 p.m. Eastern with the Milwaukee Bucks, 31-17, 12-12 on the road at the Indiana Pacers, 24-26, 16-9 at home. Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we have Milwaukee 4-1 over their past 5, playing at a pace at 102.80 possessions a game. Indiana 1-4, playing at a pace at 101.80 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history and then bring on your NBA expert. Let's take a look at the line history first here. We have Milwaukee opening up as 7.5-point favorites. They've moved to 8. That's a bookmaker. Pinnacle opened up 7.5, moved it to 8.5. Totals wise has opened up at 237.5, is now at 239.5. And cash flow wise, we have 14,292 tickets in, and the big bet's coming in on the Bucks. 58% of tickets, 83% of cash. 67% of tickets, 86% cash on the over. 67-87 on the over, and it has climbed up to 239.5. And both teams playing at a faster pace than they have been. BJ says clear Bucks spot. Let's bring on your star here of our Friday NBA breakdowns. Haven't seen him here in a couple weeks. Great to have him back in action with us. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, Dutch Boy Fresh. Dutchy, what's good? Welcome back.
Hey, Jimmy the motherfucking bag. Salute to you. All the real ones holding it down in the chat. I'm back right where I need to be on a fresh Friday. Ain't gonna lie to you, Jim. It's been a rough one for your boy. So I'm hoping this right here is the start of something beautiful, my guy.
Oh, well, that's I hate hearing that. But this is home, right where you are right now. Cap and
Yes,
NBA with your crew. This is home. So welcome home, and we love you. And let's get to work and do what you do best, my man. Capping the National Basketball Association. Lucas Ryan says, freshest capper in the game. Kadesh Bo Jackson saying, yeah, man. You got Joe Chris in the house. Rez Mob says, hope you guys all catch that Chris Paul over 8.5 assists yesterday. That was a 5-unit bomb for Rez Mob.
Good
all
shit,
right,
Rez.
let's get to work here. Lee Davis says, Pacers plus 8.5. My current biggest edge, pending lineups, of course. We have talked about the cash, the big bets, Dutch coming in on the Bucks. We've moved a point on the Bucks. There's Billy Brisbane rolling with us as well. Great cappers in the chat. Let's get to work. Bompolo ready to go. Milwaukee comes in off its second straight win, 107-99 at home versus the Nuggets Wednesday. Denver was playing on the second half of back-to-back without Jokic, Murray, Porter Jr., KCP. And there was talk in that locker room that that's so much tougher when you hear that everybody's out for them. And it, it was not an easy victory. Giannis, 33-14. That was his second game back. Drew goes for 20. Connaughton goes for 19 and 12 boards for Connaughton. Milwaukee playing its first game without Bobby Portis. So he's got a right MCL and right ankle sprain. He'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. He'll probably be out for a month. Pacers coming off their 8th loss in 9 games. That's 9 games without Halliburton. They've lost 8 of them. Benedict Mathurin continues to step up. What a monster this kid could be soon. 26 points. Buddy Hield went for 21. Miles Turner, 22 and 13. Duarte went for 16. McConnell went for 17. Nembhard, day-to-day for the Pacers. And Tice missed the game with a knee injury. Take it away. The floor is yours, my God. And Dan Kelly saying Halliburton making his case for MVP. He won't win it, but you're absolutely right. Most valuable to your team might be Halliburton because the Pacers still 24-26, holding it down, 16-9 at home. Take it away, my guy. The floor is yours. Bucks, Pacers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. I gave Ski, our boy Ski Prophet, some shit when he said Halliburton MVP, and I said, bro, slow the fuck down. But you can make a case for that. And then look, my MVP, Luka. I mean, shit, he leaves the floor last night, and the Mavericks are better. So it's the NBA today. God damn it! I just gotta figure it out. But yeah, man. This game is a difficult basketball game, but ain't no way I'm getting in front of Milwaukee right now. As you touched on, the Pacers are pretty much an auto fade since Halliburton has left the court. The Bucks are 3-0 straight up last 3 meetings versus they've actually beat these boys 9 straight fucking times. They've covered 2 out of the last 3. In the last 3 games, they're shooting 52% from the field. So offensively, they play with these boys. The Pacers have absolutely nothing from a defensive perspective. However, the Bucks are a little bit suspect on the road, 9-12 ATS, 9-12-3 ATS on the road this year. So we haven't had the best. We've actually kind of looked to fade Milwaukee a little bit more on the road this year. I do believe Milwaukee's best basketball is in front of them. Obviously, Giannis has been in and out of the lineup of late. Middleton, they're easing him back in. Looks like he's going to be coming off the bench. Solid guy you're going to be able to bring off the bench, getting him back in. Probably won't be there too long. I don't know if I'm ready to lay 8, though, on the road, but it's the only way I could look, Jim. The Pacers are 1-6 ATS. Overall, have won 1 basketball game in the last 9. As you mentioned, these 2 teams did play January 16th, so a little over a week ago in Milwaukee. Pacers were up at halftime without Giannis in this game and Middleton. They were up at halftime and then got smacked the fuck around by 35 points from Drew in the crew, won by 13. Now you bring Middleton and Giannis in the road. I believe the line is very telling here at -8.5, 8 on the road. I could only look Milwaukee here, but no reason for me to force this bet because I could definitely see them fucking around in a backdoor cover here.
For real. Yeah, it seems like the Bucks are the look. Do you have any interest in a Bucks first quarter here, or do you prefer that when teams are going to elevation to take the Bucks first quarter. And
I looked a little bit at that, and I see our guy Sam Comer coming right in with Milwaukee first quarter minus 2.5. I mean, that seems like 3 points. It seems like a fucking layup, right? But when I looked into it, they did not play very good basketball in the first and second quarter at home against Indiana. So, and then they flipped the switch in that fourth quarter and just outplayed them. So, will Milwaukee be ready to rock and roll from tip? I don't really think so. I think at any time they could flip the switch, and they know that with a team that they're just simply better than. So I wouldn't look for them to come out ready to rock and roll. Not saying I would fade that look. I don't know how, they were down at halftime and came back and won the game by 13 without their big horse Giannis and Middleton. So how much urgency are they going to have coming into that first quarter in Indiana, in my opinion?
Yeah. It's funny with the Pacers, watching the Pacers, because TJ McConnell, I don't know if he could play any better. I don't know if you could get more out of your backup point guard, and they're 1-8. It really shows you.
Somebody needs to go get him, no?
I've always liked him, but he's showing out, and they can't buy a W.
Right.
And that so I don't know. But yeah, he seems like a guy you can count on. Not necessarily count on for victories. Let's move. LJ from H-Town says Pacers 2-13 straight up first quarter versus the East at home. Bucks 12-4-1 straight up first quarter versus the East on the road. There it is.
Yeah, maybe that first quarter is a look. I mean, I really see this as Milwaukee. It's just like I'm not getting cute. If I bet Milwaukee here, it would be full game. Because I have Milwaukee against Indiana first half. They brick City and win the game out, cover the full game by double digits. So I'm not going back to doing that.
Another thing is that we just cashed on Orlando first quarter. Shout out to Rob Free, who put that on a silver platter for us. We just cashed against the Pacers. Just were atrocious in the first quarter against Orlando. So I don't know if we're going to see that again here, when they were all talking about it after the game. We can't start out games like this. We can't start out games like this. So I can understand moving on it, but I'm not going to. Let's move on. Next up for us, and Cashman's right. The Bulls could use them. The Bulls could use him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so fucking funny, Cash. And that was what when I was watching that Bulls Hornets game last night. That's who came to mind. I'm like, how come they need to go get TJ McConnell? Like, they don't have a point guard. Good shit there, Cashman.
Yeah, makes sense. There's Mario White. Welcome back. It's been a long time. What up, fam? Great to see you back in action with us, Mario. All right, let's roll on to the next spot on the board. And if you've been checking out the chat, you will see a lot of love for the Memphis Grizzlies here in the chat. Our Dan Kelly is moving on Memphis -6 at +150. We've heard Rez Mob wanting to move on these Memphis Grizzlies as well. 111 straight, have now lost 4 straight. Dan Kelly finding himself plus monies. This opened up at Pinnacle with the Grizzlies -2.5. They're now -3. From a total standpoint, this opened up at 237.5. It's now 238.5. We take a look at the cash flow for this one. 8,101 tickets in. 35% of the tickets are on Minnesota, but 91% of the cash. That's surprising. 80% of tickets and 98% cash on the under, and yet this total has climbed a point. So very confusing market analysis for us. Let's talk about the spot here. Both teams playing at a brisk pace, especially Memphis. 1-4 over the past 5, playing at 103.10 possessions a game, while Minnesota 3-2, playing at a pace of 101.90 possessions a game. Grizzlies 11-14 on the road. The Wolves 16-10 at home. Memphis coming in off that 4 straight loss, 122-120 at Golden State on Wednesday. Ja went for 29 and 12 in his return from that 1-game absence with the sore left ankle. Brandon Clark, good Canadian boy, 19 points, 8 rebounds. He does not have the toughness of Steven Adams. He never will. But he's always had hops. There's always been things about Brandon Clark that have excited people. And now he's gotten a real opportunity to step the fuck up here. And I hope he can. Minnesota comes in off their 3rd win in 4 games, 111-102 at New Orleans on Wednesday. how I didn't move on it with BI coming back, knowing that BI would mess the flow up. But the Minnesota Timberwolves are just, can you trust the heart of this team?
Fuck no.
It's just, so my dad, just to give you, I keep going back with Kat about when his mom died and how he needed the month off and stuff like that. My dad was tearing up with me talking about the way that the Canucks treated Bruce Boudreau. He was tearing up, and the woman he lives with, his girlfriend that he's been with for years and years, immediately said, "You wouldn't cry if I died." That was the first thing she said. That's the first thing she said. But here he is tearing up with Bruce Boudreau getting fired like that. And it just takes you back to heart. Like my dad always taught me, he's like, if anything happened to me, you step the fuck up. You be a man.
Right.
And then this Timberwolves team just doesn't have that heart. And it makes them a very difficult team to cap if you can't trust them stepping up in certain situations that other teams would step up in. But they've won 9 of 13, and Edwards 37 points in that 111-102 victory. Also, some nice clips of the girl that he's with these days. Ooh-wee. Rudy 17 and 12. So here we go. The Timberwolves begin a 6-game homestand, and I don't know what we are going to get. Minnesota's won 7 of their last 8 games at home. Take it away for us, Dutch. Oh, this is our live bet stream game tonight, too. Razor Sharp Picks and Dabby Cab hosting this game. Memphis Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves, right here on Pub Sports Radio. Pops off at 7:15 p.m. Eastern, game at 7:30. Take it away for us, Dutchy. Grizz Wolves.
Well, God damn it, I might have to touch down. I need a drink in hand because I'll be sweating this motherfucker because this is I'm confident in this, and to say that the way I've been running of late, under par like a motherfucker. So but I'm not scared. So we gotta see cap what we see. And I do see some some people liking Minnesota on the side. A lot of people in the chat liking the Grizz though. I see shout out to our guy DK. That's the first time I seen that graphic. That's that money shot by Kyrie at the end. I love that. But yeah, man, I'm all over the Grizz here. I really like the Grizz. I got 2.5 minus 115, whatever we could get. The Grizzlies did lose to Minnesota. First of all, obviously Minnesota, the Grizzlies have lost 4 straight basketball team games. This is a spot play for me. Most importantly, this is too good of a basketball team. Obviously, they don't have Steven Adams, but they should have enough. You touched on what they need from Clark. But these boys, January 27 played against Minnesota. They lost by 8 points in that 7 points in Minnesota with 30 plus 30 on the rebound mark. They did have Adams in there, did have 12 rebounds. They were plus 30 on the boards. They did turn the ball over 24 times in that basketball game to 17 assists. I think this is a simply get right spot. I do not trust Minnesota. Minnesota has been better at the crib. Jimmy touched on it, 9 of 13. But the Grizzlies have had their way with these boys. Prior to that loss, they've beat them 6 straight motherfucking times. 12 and 6 ATS last 8 versus these 18, versus these boys overall. I simply believe they'll be too big, push them around. I know without Adams, they lose a little bit of that toughness. But I believe Ja and them boys, Bane and Brooks got a lot more heart than Minnesota do. And losing 4 straight, losing to the Warriors like they just did last second. Played a great game against the Warriors, to be honest with you, losing that at the end there. I believe they're going to be salty as fuck. I like them here, Jim. Full game, minus 2.5. It's good money.
We can get you that minus 2.5. Did you pay minus 115 for yours?
Yeah.
Okay, this one's minus 116. So is that okay?
Yeah, that's
okay?
Cool. I kind of want to do first quarter here to get my record right, but we'll do straight. I put a couple more units on the full game, so we'll just keep it how it is. But yeah. I do believe they come out ready to fucking rock and roll. But it's the NBA, man. It's like right now, man, it's like the opposite happens for me. So, but this is a spot where we should see a team that we know has heart. It's grind motherfucking city going against a suspect team who has played better basketball, but we do not trust. Ja Morant will be the best player on the court. And I believe we'll see angry Memphis Grizzly basketball. And I do like the matchups as well with Brooks to contain Edwards, even though Edwards had one hell of a game last time these boys played. But, he's streaky. But get Brooks all up in his grill. Hopefully they don't call fucking these tic-tac fouls on his ass, and they can kind of get Edwards out of his game. I do not trust Rudy Gobert and D'Angelo Russell. I'm worried about Edwards. Take Edwards out, and we good.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, Sammy,
looking at Minnesota here.
I wasn't until these numbers in the market.
I know the numbers say Minnesota.
Oh wow, yeah. And then when you're like, okay, well, how do we explain why this is? And then Skydragon explains it, why he thinks it is. He says Minnesota Memphis playoff history here. Says Memphis just played high emotion game versus Golden State Warriors. Minnesota wins. You have to think that Gobert's lucky that Adams isn't out there on the floor.
Yeah, he really is.
Because Adams is a tough dude, man. He's just a tough guy. And Gobert now going up against Brandon Clark will find that much easier. Right now, Sammy asking about I have 8,330 tickets in. I have some implied line value on Memphis Grizzlies. 65% of the tickets on the Grizzlies and 9% of the cash. And then 80 and 98% to the under in the market going up. So, this is really tricky here. Very, very, very tricky. You also have already heard from Dan Kelly, who says don't trust Friday night numbers. And he took the Grizzlies -6 at +150. So with all of that conflicting information, I think I'd be most comfortable sitting back and having other action right now. So
I was looking ahead to this game, honestly. Billy Briz put me on it. Actually, shout out to our guy right here on Post Sports Radio. I had the Warriors -3. They lose again. They don't cover. They win the game by 2. Just how things be going. But we looked at it as this was the spot. And I like it, but yeah, man, it's tricky, man. But to be honest with you, I really think almost everything in the NBA right now is tricky.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
The Cavaliers was a clear spot last night, and I didn't touch it, and I'm still thinking about. I thought about that when I woke up this morning.
It's and the under too.
I just wanted first quarter, first half. I felt like the game would be over at halftime. I didn't bet it, and look what the fuck. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Oh yeah, just.
But I did. I was very confident in this Grizzlies game, but I'm kind of like you, Jim. The more I look into it, the more the numbers I see. I'm like, okay, I could see strong points. As the chat has made some strong points from Minnesota as well.
Run DMC background. It's tricky for this card here, but there are a lot of trends in Orlando Magic at Miami Heat and a lot of opportunities, I think, to make money in this game. So let's move over there. 8 p.m. Eastern, Magic 19-29, 6-17 on the road at Miami Heat, 27-22, 16-9 at home at Miami-Dade Arena, Miami, Florida. Orlando 3-2 over the past 5, playing at the pace at 98.7 possessions a game. Miami 3-2, playing at the pace at 95.9 possessions a game. So these two teams just playing so much slower than the other teams on tonight's docket. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one and get moving. Orlando, Miami. This opened up with Orlando at +7.5 and now +8.5. Total wise, this opened up at 1. Oh, no, couldn't have done that. Let me just see what this opened up at 221.5 and has dropped to 219, which I still think is too high. Let's see if the cash goes here. So Miami Heat given the highest implied line value on today's card. The only team with anything are the Heat and the Grizzlies. The Heat, 7,897 tickets in, 43% of the tickets, 78% of the cash. So big bets coming in on the Heat. 52% of the tickets, 97% cash on the under, and I get it. And when we talk about Miami's defense, it just sort of becomes clearer. Let's start with Orlando, coming off their third win in 4 games, 126-120 at home over Indiana on Wednesday. All 5 Magic starters, double figures. Banchero goes for 23. Gary Harris, 6 of 6 from 3, goes for 22. Wendell Carter, 18 and 10. And second straight double-double for him. Magic are 5-1 in those games where Wendell Carter Jr. goes off for that. And Orlando's a deep team right now. The Heat come in off their second straight win, 98-95 at home over the Celtics on Tuesday, and that was without Jimmy Butler. Late scratch with this back issue. That's the first time he's missed a game since December 31st, even though we think of him as being in and out of the lineup. Bam, 21.6 points per game, and he put up 30 against the Celtics. The Heat are holding opponents to 108.2 points per game. That's second in the league. I know it sounds high. In each of their last 4 wins, the Heat have held the competition to 98 or fewer. And Dan Kelly says Banchero started to come back around from hitting that rookie wall. And Dan Kelly's on the over 19.5 for Banchero. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Battle of Florida, Orlando, Miami.
Yeah, man. I really like the Magic here. I'm getting 8, man. Seeing a lot of value here. Shout out to our guy Bobano, was riding the Magic. He kind of rode the train with him, and I, took a couple bumps on the road. But man, Magic are getting healthy, man. They're getting healthy, and they've had their way with the Heat all around. And I just like them. I like them as a dog right here, getting 8 points. This is really where I like the Magic. And they handled business the other night against the Pacers as a favorite. Was a little skeptical of laying the points there, but I mean that's today's NBA, and I think getting 8 right now with the Magic, I really wouldn't be in the business of even betting Orlando Magic basketball, but I mean they're a profitable team this year, Jim. They're 6 and they play up to their competition. They're 6-0 ATS, last 6 on the road versus a team with a winning percentage greater than 60. The Magic are 5-1 ATS following a previous 100 points or more game, as well as 5-1 ATS on a fresh Friday. So they play well up on Friday. 12-2 ATS last 14 games on 1 day rest as well. So they've been great against the number here. And the other side here, Miami, 1-6 ATS last 7, playing on 2 days rest. Off a big win here without Jimmy Butler, as you mentioned, Jim. Tough, grinded out game there against the Celtics. Maybe somewhat of a letdown spot here. And they do play down to their competition as well. 1-5 ATS, last 6 home games versus a road team with winning percentage of 40% or lower. So we got a team that plays up to their competition and a team that plays down to their competition, and give me 8 fucking points. Sign me the fuck up. As you mentioned, the Magic are getting a lot healthier, Jim. They are loaded off the bench. I don't want to say loaded, but I mean, they got some guys coming off the bench here. I'm a big fan of Banchero, obviously. Bobo coming off the bench back healthy. I'm a big fan of his as well. As I said, they play well against Miami Heat. They're 6-2 ATS last 8 meetings in South Beach. Obviously, it's a short travel. 6-2 against the number last 8 overall. I think Miami might lose this basketball game, to be quite honest with you. So you're going to give me 8 motherfucking points. Magic Kingdom, sign me up. Good money.
Wow. And you're getting 8.5 now.
Oh,
and very low VIG, -104.
Give it to me. You said a lot, all the values on Miami. I didn't like hearing that, but honestly, I don't give a fuck. Like, Magic, they play these boys well. They're the next door neighbor. Everybody in South Beach is in fucking, paradise, and in Orlando, they're little fucking Puerto Rico. So they go into South Beach with the chip. They're going to be competitive in this basketball game. Miami don't give a fuck about this basketball game. They just beat the Celtics. They're trying to get healthy. I don't think Miami really gives a fuck about the regular season, as we've seen so far. You say it like you said about Jimmy. It's like, oh, we think he's in and out. He's actually played a lot of basketball games. The problem is, it's like Miami has so many people in and out of their lineup. We just assume, like, who the fuck's playing on that roster,
Yeah.
But they are getting healthier, though.
Yeah, and then the record's indicating that now 27-22, 16-9 at home here. I'm going to move on the under 219.5. That's available for me. I'm going to move on this under. Regardless, I mean, if Orlando does step up, if Orlando is within 3 or 4 points, this game probably goes over. So my concern is I need Miami to smash here, sort of, and maybe that could be enough to take me off. But if you just look at pace alone, and Hero not shooting well right now, if with pace alone, you have to think that this would go to the under, and I'll move on it. And Dan Kelly says, I believe I still have a shot at Magic winning the division. Wow, that's wild.
Well, I like his confidence. I like it tonight. That's for sure.
That's wild, yeah. Because DG was saying that maybe taking the Magic to win the division was a touch ambitious.
Just a touch. But I think they're a bet on regular season basketball team. So I will say that.
All right, we have Dutch on the Magic +8.5, and I am on the under 219.5. Let's move on. 2 games left on the card, and we get to finish with 2019 NBA Finals. 8 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Cavaliers 30-20, 10-15 on the road. Oklahoma City Thunder 23-25, 14-10 at home at Paycom Center, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Cleveland 2-3 over the past 5, playing at a pace at 95 possessions a game. Oklahoma City 3-2, playing at a pace at 100 possessions a game. Take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Oklahoma City opening up as a 1-point dog. They're now a 1-point favorite. From a total perspective, opened up at 226, dropped all the way down to 222.5. That's a big drop. Taking a look at the cash here, 5,273 tickets in. 75% of the tickets and 90% of the cash is on Oklahoma City. You could say that's too much, but at least they've gone from dog to favorite. Let's take a look at what the money line's done then on that one here. Let's move over here. So Oklahoma City's gone from -101 to -108. That's probably not enough of a move with 75% of tickets and 90% cash on them. 47% of tickets and 99% of the cash on the under. Obviously, a big bet was made. Cleveland is on the second half of back-to-back after winning at Houston last night, 113-95 for their second win in 3 games. And Mitchell could miss this game here. He missed last night's game, aggravated the groin injury in the Tuesday loss to the Knicks. Thunder coming off their second loss in 3 games, 137-132 at home versus the Hawks on Wednesday night. And Jalen Williams continues to impress and surprise us. Now 24 points in that loss at home to the Hawks on Wednesday night. Take it away for us, Dutch. The Cavaliers against the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't do it, but I feel like I should do it. I should be a motherfucking Thunder buddy tonight. I have a feeling some boys this afternoon on NBA Pub Hub will be on the Thunder. They like to ride that Thunder buddy train. I seems like every time I get on it, I fall the fuck off, man. So I'm going to stay off of it. But this, to me, is an OKC spot. They are 4-0 ATS last 4 after after a straight-up loss, and they are 6-0-1 ATS last 7, playing on 1 day's rest. They're money at the crib, too. They hold down the court there in OKC. We know they got shit to do in Oklahoma, so the fans do show up and get pretty fucking rowdy for the Thunder. I look for them to kind of bounce back too off a loss, I believe. So, Cavaliers in a back-to-back. Don't be surprised if somebody sits. It's today's NBA. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, they did blow out the Rockets, so that could be an advantage if you do like the Cavaliers here. But man, I think Shea and them boys probably gonna get them tonight. I really do. The one thing that I would say for the Cavaliers as well, they should have a big advantage down low if J.A. and Mobley go. One thing I will say about Oklahoma City, they are pretty suspect down low in that front court. So, but I look for Shea and Giddey and these boys to have a game. I know Lou Dort's out as well. So from a defensive perspective, Garland or LeVert going to be hella happy. They don't have to worry about his ass. I really don't believe Mitchell plays tonight. He's been in and out of the lineup the last week, coming back from that injury and obviously in a back-to-back situation. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he sits tonight. So if you like OKC, I would get it now. If you like the Cavaliers, you could probably wait a little bit.
I just don't understand why the Thunder aren't bigger favorites here. Like I'd like to see a -2.5. I can't. I don't mean to overthink this. Dan Kelly just said on the road, second half of back-to-back this season, Cleveland's 0-2 straight up and against the spread.
Yeah, Cavaliers are suspect as fuck on the road too, Jim, this year. But I just think OKC just don't get that respect. But when you look at the numbers from a betting aspect, I mean, this is an OKC spot.
LJ from H-Town on Allen double-double, Mobley double-double. Huh. Yeah,
Yeah, they should eat. They should eat.
This is one of the spots that I kind of tend to stay away from. I mean, how would we not be on not be on the Thunder? How could we not possibly be on the Thunder? I mean, everything is pointing towards the Thunder, and yet the books just don't give you these things with no vig. They don't. They just don't. So Leo said it's because they just lost at home too.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're off a loss at the crib where they've been good, and they lost. They lost in Cleveland December 10th, by 8 as a 5-point dog to the Cavaliers. So it's kind of a revenge aspect, kind of get them back as well. You get them in a back-to-back situation, a good spot to get right after losing at home and losing to them a month ago.
Yeah, it just sort of I'm getting this feeling of too good to be true here, and I guess that'll just keep me off of it at this point. Leo said line makes sense. Just take OKC. Maybe it makes sense for you, Leo. God bless you. Let's move on. 10 p.m. Eastern, Toronto Raptors 22-27, 7-15 on the road at Golden State Warriors 24-24, 18-6 at home. We're at the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. Toronto 2-3, playing at a pace of 98.10 possessions a game. Warriors 3-2, playing at a pace of 102.27 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have the Warriors opening up at -5. There's been a 5-cent move at that number at Pinnacle towards the Raptors. Total wise opened up at 237.5 and now at 235. It's pretty interesting here that there is some hope within this Raptors team right now, because this is a really long road trip that they're about to go on. And, they've never had a longer win streak than 3 games all year long. They've won 2 straight. Sky Dragon says, do I want to take Toronto after their best game of the year? No. But do I want to fade Golden State Warriors off a nice win? Yes. Billy Brisbane says, Dub Nation, then baby dinosaurs going down. Well, this is the arena. Oh, I guess it's not the arena, right? That was a fucking old arena that we won it all in. Raptors got off to a good start on this trip. I mean, they looked really good. 113-95 win at Sacramento on Wednesday night. Siakam goes for 26 and 11. The Warriors come off that spirited game that meant so much to them. Do they really care that the Raptors beat them in the 2019 finals, when it was, different arena? Do they really care? They played that without KD and without Clay. I mean, I don't know if they do. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I would say they probably don't. Steph Curry went for 34, and then he threw his mouthpiece. There's a lot. That was a really emotional game. This totals dropped a point, 2 points, 2.5 points or so. From a cash standpoint, this is the most bet game on the card. A really fun Friday night. 19,183 tickets in, 37% of tickets and 56% of cash is on the Raptors. Then you have 64% of tickets and 89% of the cash on the over. That's a totals drop 2.5 points, and yet it's on the over. I wonder if there's a recency bias for how low scoring that Raptors Sacramento game was, because remember that game, there was 208 points in that game, and that total was 239, I think, or 238. So I wonder if that's part of it. I'd like the Raptors here. I'd like the Raptors here. I feel like this is the best that they're playing all year, and why wouldn't they cherish the opportunity to play against the Warriors, on a big spotlight game, the only late game of the night. But let's hear what our guy Dutch has to say before I decide to do this. And I'll go over all the comments here. This is a really fun game. And this is the last game on the show. So take it away, Dutchy. Raptors, Warriors.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our guy, Sweaty Butcher. I see my man, Mally Mal in the building. I see you, my dude. Yeah, I don't really like the Raptors here too much, Jim, to be honest with you. I don't know if that was such a big win against Memphis. I mean, this is what they do. I mean, the Warriors fucked around in that game, and they still win the game after Steph gets thrown out. But they say, the Grizzlies talk a lot of shit. The Warriors pretty much beat them. That's just what it is. So, and a little article that came out yesterday, I don't know if you caught it, but they're talking about Siakam for Draymond Green and some other pieces. I bet you Draymond seen that motherfucker. So I don't know. I feel like tonight might be one of them nights where we see like the old Golden State Warriors, a little, talking about Steph, and then how maybe there's some locker room slight issues because of the way that game ended with Jordan Poole. And man, I think everything's lovely in the Bay. They're getting healthy. They beat these boys by double digits without Wiggins, without Steph motherfucking Curry. Jordan Poole dropped 43 in that game. They shot these boys in Sacramento. They did play good basketball. They did win the game. They shot 30% from the 3-point line. They averaged 33% from the 3-point line on the season. I do not trust the Raptors to knock down 3-point shots consistently. I don't believe you're going to go into Golden State and beat them or cover 5 without knocking down. Was shooting 30% from the fucking 3-point line. I think the little article, pin to shit, whatever you want to call it, is going to get Draymond and them boys riled up. Who's more Who's more better to get that locker room riled up than Draymond? Obviously, Steph coming off the ejection, throwing his mouth, whatever. He might fuck around and drop a 40-piece tonight. Because like I mentioned last time, Jordan Poole seen these motherfuckers. It was wet, 43 in Toronto. Man, the Warriors can get in that ass tonight, Jim. I think it's going to be a bloodbath at the crib. -5 is good money. The Raptors have been a little bit better of late on the road, but they have been pretty suspect on the road this year. They're 10-12 AS overall against the number on the road. As a dog, 7-13 straight up. The Warriors at the crib handle business. They are 18-16 straight up at the house. Have not covered the number in 5 straight, so I believe we'll buck that trend tonight and cover. They love a motherfucking fresh Friday. They like going into the weekend feeling good in the Bay, Jim. 8-1 ATS last night on a motherfucking Friday. It will be 9-1. Warriors -5. It's good money.
Warriors -5, -103. I just I can't wait to watch this game. I hope I don't throw something.
I like the Raptors first half, and if I was running better right now and things were a little bit lovely, I would probably be on the Raptors first half. I think they're going to be gritty, grindy game, but overall, I think the Warriors win this game by double digits. The lack of shooting will definitely catch up to Toronto.
Huh. Oh, wow. All right. I got a lot to think about here. I don't mind getting talked off spots if there's a lot of action to have, but only 5 games in the NBA. I feel like if I almost would want to. I'm interested in the Timberwolves and the Raptors, and you're being on the other side just makes me probably want to just stay off.
Right now, you're probably on the right side, Jim.
I don't believe that.
I felt good this morning, though. I felt good. I'm back betting with the motherfucking back. Hey, and I'm about to go on a straight motherfucking heater. Believe it. So, I like the Magic an awful lot at the 8. I do see some strong sides for Minnesota. I'm riding with Ja and the boys, and I just think the Warriors. I do not trust Toronto on the road. I think the Warriors have a good game tonight.
Well, Bucks, Pacers, we have no action. Dutch is on the Grizzlies -2.5. He is on the Magic +8.5. I will be on the under in that game. Cavaliers, Oklahoma City. I mean, I imagine Oklahoma City is going to take care of business, and I'll be sitting there tonight going, "Oh, why didn't I do it?" But
yeah,
it just feels like they should be 2 or 3 point favorites on the second half of a back-to-back. Why aren't they? So, and then Dutch is on the Warriors -5 at -103, and that is our NBA show. Our guy Jose putting out the Pubapalooza 2 events there. That's where you sign up for the events. And we're very excited about our big trip to San Antonio. Just one weekend, just a weekend. I get in on Thursday. I bounce on Monday. And there's going to be a lot of fun. The Thursday night, too, if you want to get in early, we have the Delusional Eats party there. Going to get lifted in all the right ways. All of the right ways. Sammy Comer says, what about the Toronto Golden State Warriors under? I can't do it. If 11% of the cash is on the I guess looking at it from a different standpoint, the books are asking for more money on the over. I guess they're asking for more money on the over. So I can understand it, Sammy, but that is a little I feel like that's a little cute here, especially with the way the Warriors are playing. So then the total all comes down to whether the Raptors hit threes. And look, you've seen Van Fleet go for 36. I mean, we've seen that happen. Trent's shooting better right now. Do you trust the Raptors from the perimeter? No, but we've seen them step up. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
Team total under for the Raptors if you want to bet a total in that game. Warriors coming to play tonight.
Well, it's going to be a fun one Friday night at the Chase Center. There you have it. Dutch Boy Fresh back in action with us. You can catch him here on Fridays. Love having you rolling with us. Follow Dutch on Twitter at Dutch Boy Fresh. And Dutch, you going to give San Antonio another shot, man? After they fucked you? You going to give him another chance?
You say you go round 2 with that motherfucker, bro? Hey, no commitments yet. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Like it don't sound. Yeah, I don't know. No commitments yet, Jim. You know, it was good. It was bad. It was good. It was bad. We'll see.
Well, we love you and hope to hang with you very badly. So we'll leave the pressure off for now, but it might come in a few weeks.
The Thursday night thing sounds dope as fuck, and I do need to redeem myself from the poker thing. We showed out on the bullshit online, but I need to do well in a live game with you motherfuckers. So I definitely am looking for redemption in the poker. That's one thing that definitely clicked in my mind when I seen that a couple days ago.
And what we want to do also is we're going to do the buy-in, but then there's going to be a group of us that will go put extra money in for
last longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because man, you know what I mean. Like we that's that definitely needs to happen.
We're definitely gonna do that. We're definitely do that.
For sure. But yeah, looking forward. There's some real ones, man. Most definitely. I definitely like to vibe out with you again, and a lot of genuine dudes I met last time. So the people might bring me there. The people might bring me there.
I love it. I love it. The door is ajar. The door is ajar. Man, it's so great to have you back in action with us, Dutch. We love you so much, my man. Any last words for the Capper supporting the show?
I appreciate everyone in the chat, man. Be sure to vibe out. Everyone will be there in March. So it is good times. Don't get it twisted. Jimmy the Bag will be there in full effect. So, get out there. Enjoy the motherfucking madness in San Antonio. But yeah, man, appreciate being back here with you, Jim. I will definitely not miss another Friday here for a minute here, bro. So I appreciate you. Let's get back in the black. I need it, my guy. I need it, my guy. Salute.
There he is, Dutch boy, fresh. Let's do a review of all action here. Man, 2.5 hour show. It feels like we need to put in another hour somewhere here. I'm going to move on the under 6.5 in San Jose, Carolina. I'd be curious to see if that market has moved at all at my book. And no, same deal. Plus 110 to the under 6. LJ says Dutch knows he's coming. I respect that. There's Blackdoor King in the house. Need Blackdoor King to fly into San Antonio and run with us, man. Bobano's on the over 6.5 in Kings Panthers. He's on the Red Wings plus 155. I think I will move on the Rangers. I think I will. I'm going to sit with it for a little longer. And then Ottawa, Toronto, no action. Bobano's on the Devils plus 135, and I'm going to move on the under, and I'm going to move on the Flames first period. So I will have action. A pimp slap play today, Toronto under 6.5 for Mike M. in that Ottawa Leafs game, under 6.5. I'm really interested to see what happens in that game from all our angle standpoints. To see you have the Leafs without Matthews, and I expect them to step up. And then also you have Matt Murray, who I don't trust whatsoever. So it'll be interesting. Blackdoor, the dates. Blackdoor asking about the dates. Can you pop that up one more time for us? Jose, one finger, two holes, Bouquet, who will be in action there, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. The only time I've puked in the last, I don't know, 10 years was at the fucking Southtown. I forget what night it was, but
the pollutant. That was the pollutant.
Yeah, and I kept eating the peanut butter burgers. And then
you switched to grilled cheeses
because I couldn't eat another after I puked off the peanut butter burger. Which are delicious, but I was just my womb was just so polluted. No. Let's get into college basketball here, and then Lucas Ryan going to be there as well this trip, man. There's going to be some new blood, man.
Lucas, you hit me up on Twitter, Lucas.
Shit, man.
I can't find you, Lucas. You hit me up. I'm more findable than you, Lucas.
Hate the cost to be the boss, man. Or young Jose Bouquet. Siena plus 7 for Bobano. I'm going to be on Iona first half. Why don't you stick with us here as we put a bow on this show, Jose? Manhattan plus 6.5 for Bobano. He's on the over 128 in Colton Ryder, Marist. St. Louis Davidson, we stayed off. He's on the over 143 in Detroit. Robert Morris. He's on PFW plus 4.5 in the over 137. North Dakota State, we are off. He's on Buffalo plus 11. I'm going to be on Oakland full game. Bobano's on Oakland full game and the over 149.5. And I will be on Air Force plus 13. Swiss Horton was wondering if you have a Helga for him.
Hey, her name's not going to be Helga. Her name's probably going to be like Yolanda or something like that. So
that works.
That works. I got you, doggy.
That works. North Ender says the Chiefs Sunday. We have a huge Sunday, a huge, wild Sunday of action. So please join us all day, all night Sunday. We start at 12 p.m. Eastern. And thank you guys, all you guys in the chat. Mike M, D-Rock, North Ender, Vipe, Swiss Horton, Lucas Ryan, Black Thor King, Rem Most, Jarek White, The Sweaty Butcher, LJ from H-Town, Richard, Rem Most, Cashman 19, Derek Miller, Nasty, motherfucking Nate. Nasty Nate, because his whole trip down there turned around on the cornhole course. Remember, he was not. It was things. He wasn't making that cash. Then he wins a cornhole, carries that over to cash in the poker game, and it was just nonstop cashers. Remember, Emilio cashed on St. Peter's Peacocks.
Mm-hmm. You almost had to get a tattoo of a big peacock on your back.
I forgot about that. Yeah, a peacock winking.
Yeah, so it almost happened. Fucking Purdue. They folded there for us, but I forgot who they lost to. It was very disappointing. I was really looking forward to that peacock.
Peacock tattoo.
It was going to peek out from the back of your shirts, too, from the collars, the two eyes. Yeah, it would have looked great.
A peacock tattoo. Yeah, dude, I'm very excited. So as we close the show, Jose, what is the thing that you're most excited about for our big Pubapalooza dose?
That's a great question. Beautiful. Now I found out who Lucas Ryan is, and now I'm going to message you back, Lucas. Thank you. What am I most excited for about the trip? That's a great question. Selfishly, I am looking forward to the par 3. I do admittedly play that par 3 very frequently, so I hope to be competitive in this. But I do suck at golf, so that also holds me back. I think I'm most excited for the closing ceremonies at Southtown 101 because who knows what's going to happen then? Who knows what we're going to have planned then? Who knows what's going to be left of Jimmy the Bag, myself, everyone there? It might be just the pollutant there instead of Jimmy the Bag. It might be just a shell of ourselves, and we might just all be boozing, watching whatever's left of March Madness. That might be okay with me. So it's going to be a hell of a month. It's going to be a hell of a weekend, and I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I know what I'm most excited about is Friday. It'll be Friday doing the show in the booth at Southtown and seeing all of the cappers there, seeing 50 guys of like my best buddies all there through a window, knowing, I'll already be drinking during the stream, knowing that I get to come out of this booth and just party my ass off in San Antonio for 72 hours. That'll be that feeling of knowing that we're going to watch March Madness together because we'll do the show will be based on, March Madness basically. And then we have the poker game and then we're doing nothing. I won't be leaving that bar, right? That bar is where maybe we'll cross the street to go to that place for dinner. That's pretty dope. But the food, why would I want to leave? I got 4 peanut butter burgers in me for sure. And probably 4 grilled cheeses.
Well, I would say like 3.5. You lost one, like half of one.
The eating gets more difficult as the trip goes on. And that's the same thing in Vegas. Vegas eating. How many times do I have to go to California Sandwich? It's just such a battle. Get that sandwich in you so you can keep boozing, Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. And I'm only doing the one show. We're going to have a big UFC show and an NCAA Pub Hub on Saturday morning. So I might do that. But the last trip, the problem was I was working the whole time. This time, just one show. This time I booze and party with I can't wait. So I'm really excited. So I'm most excited about that feeling of getting out the booth Friday and seeing everybody there and daytime drunk because there's no more exciting drunk than a daytime drunk. So there you have it. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Go out there and get that cash. Don't forget our huge day Sunday, but we got more shows today. We got Sharpie, Brizzy, and Big Show on the good, the bad, and the money NFL player props for conference final weekend. We got our NBA Pub Hub. We got our NCAA net profits and Saturday NCAA Pub Hub And then Sunday, all football all the time. I got a giant ball cracking, ready to fucking go. Jose, great job all week. Love working with you. Can you please leche us into the future, my friend?
Of course. Thanks, everyone, for watching. As always, again, I will keep stressing it. Sign up for the fucking events. If you do not sign up, you do not exist in my head. So, Lucas Ryan, about to DM. You better sign up, too, since you said you're coming. Everyone, sign up. But it's been a lot of fun. We'll see you guys very soon. Hopefully, a little WBC coming soon, all this good stuff. Hopefully, Carter does not look like the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters anymore, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Leche, hey, little smoke makers.